Those headphones are looking pretty good. You caught me checking them out over there. Welcome back to the Mid-Season Invitational. My name is Finch. We're happy to have you here with me. I do want to remind y'all one more time to pick up some of these SteelSeries headphones. If you want 20% off, use promo code SMITE20 and get on over to the website and grab some headphones. But we've got some pretty cool games happening here in just a moment as well. I'm joined by Taco, as I have been all day long, to break them down. It's been a grueling 2 days here in the play-in bracket so far, and we finally have our top 2 teams here, Taco, that have already qualified in, but now it's just a matter of who they're going to be facing on the back end.
A little bit of pride on the line maybe between Armada and Simplicity here,
Sure.
but keep in mind, Simplicity maybe having a slight advantage over Armada coming into this one, or a disadvantage, depends on which way you choose to look at it, because playing a really long, drawn-out set like they did against a Sanguine can definitely take a toll on you.
That's a great point. I mean, Simplicity are going to come into this set, they're already set up. They'll have to come in and start plugging things in or anything like that. They've already got everything set up the way they want it. They can just get right back in and get back into the play. And then maybe Armada, on the other hand, they've got to go through those adjustments. Or maybe Simplicity are out of gas. It just kind of depends on how you look at it and which one's in a little bit better shape. But that is a pretty interesting point to bring up, Taco. Again, they are playing this match not just for pride, but to determine who they face in that MSI side of the bracket. Again, this first one should be the journey they took to get here. Armada made it to the top end, Simplicity made it to the bottom, and it was not easy. But on the next end, the loser of this match had to play Rival, and the winner of the match is going to be the one that plays Dignitas. I'm not sure that it's going to make too much of a functional difference. Those teams are both tough, but maybe at a very slight level, you might prefer to play Dig over Rival, maybe.
Where it can get a little bit complicated, though, Finch, is the fact that both of these teams, while I'm not certain that they've had to necessarily reveal all of their strategies just yet, I definitely feel as though Sanguine brought out a little bit more from Simplicity than what Simplicity was possibly hoping to have to actually reveal. And now with Armada having just had a chance, we watched them as they were watching this
That's
set.
Right. We watched them
place.
watch them. That's right. Well, I mean, Armada had to show a little bit too, didn't they? Snoopy had to show the set ADC. I mean, that's not something that's going to be a secret to anyone anymore. I imagine most of the pros were like, well, set ADC is good. We know that. But seeing for sure it's something that Snoopy likes and is comfortable with does kind of put it on your radar. So there's something to be said for both of these teams having to show maybe a little bit more than they wanted to because of how good the competition was.
Probably I think the best advantage I could give to Armada, though, is that I feel like as a whole, their team is entirely more flexible in terms of their God Pull variety and selection choices in comparison to Simplicity. I think Simplicity has a couple of members that can maybe flex out a little bit more so, but I'm expecting this draft to be extremely responsive from Armada's side of things.
I'm expecting so, too. I really don't think that they'll be able to get away with not banning Merling here in this one, too. But let's go over to Simplicity. We get a chance to hear the interview from Deathpanter with Tolly standing by.
Thank you, Finch. I'm here with Deathpanter, mid player for Simplicity. What is this hype unit that you're going to use today in this game?
Game 1 and 2 of them were quite sloppy, and then game 3 was really good. So maybe that's lack of focus going into a set and being a bit more chill. So going to go in straight away.
Let's dwell back on the last set that you guys just played a little bit. You guys can now breathe easier that you won that best of 3. Are you going to change your picks a little bit or keep it the same?
Yeah, like when you play a best of 3, there's like a mini meta sort of creates itself, right? So like the Neja and the AMC and the Chronos. So we have to sort of reset, but we still got to play our own picks. So you'll likely see some of the same stuff, but not everything.
So obviously you guys, when you win this, you'll face off against Dignitas. Would you rather face off Dignitas or Rival?
Well, they're both kind of impossible to beat, but lately like Rival have been insane and Dig have been kind of weaker, so probably Dig.
Thank you so much for your time, Deathpanter. Best of luck in this set. Back to you at the...
It's funny, but that's almost exactly the way that I think of it. They're both very, very difficult to beat, but maybe Dig a little bit slightly more beatable just based on recent play. It's tough either way. I'm sure those guys will be confident whoever they get, but love to hear the honesty there from Deathpanter Taco in that interview for him. It's not an easy match that's waiting.
Yeah. Dignitas and Rival. So they're playing for today.
Yes, today's going to be great. Sure. I mean, to be fair, no one's beaten them, right? Rival lost one time 11 years ago, and Dignitas have only lost. I mean, it's just difficult. It's difficult for anybody to beat those teams. So Simplicity know that that's the big task that waits for them tomorrow. They've got to make sure they get there and make sure their headsets are in the right spot to give themselves the best possible chance to beat one of those teams. But maybe there's some consideration for the bracket. Splice is also up there with Rival, I think, right on that side of the bracket. So maybe you'd rather be down there with Dig.
Finch, it only gets worse the more you look at it. Like it doesn't get better. I mean, you're starting off, I guess, at the worst of it, but you're still feeling uphill the whole way through, because keep in mind, these other SPL teams that we have here in the studios. These are the top 6. We've never had a top 6 this close before.
It's crazy close, isn't it? Yeah.
It is just kind of unreal. I'm really excited to see how the future matches take place over the course of MSI here. But first and foremost, we got to get through this set with Armada and Simplicity here today. And I'm telling you right now, Armada have got to be feeling pretty fired up right now after watching Sanguine go and throw it all out on the line, because it's a battle of NASML versus EUSML.
That's exactly right. Which is actually the top SML team? We'll have our chance to find out here in just a moment. I do want to get it over there, though, to Geno and Totally standing by so I can hear some of their thoughts in the interview.
Thank you, Finch. I'm here with NotGeno, the support player for Armada. What did you notice in the last set, Simplicity versus Sanguine, that you're going to use today?
I noticed that Simplicity didn't play early game very well, and Sanguine took advantage there, so we're going to try and do the same thing and punish them early.
So against Hype Unit, it was a relatively difficult set for you guys as well. Are we going to see a similar picks and bans out of you, or keep it a little bit different?
Maybe a little bit of both. We're definitely going to try and pick some gods that we think can punish them early game, but we'll try and stick to our good picks, so a little bit of both.
So obviously when you guys win this, you'll face off against Team Dignitas, rather. But like, would you rather face Dignitas or Rival?
We'd rather face Dignitas. Rival is a more complete team, in my opinion, and Dignitas seems to fold in under pressure, so we really want to play Dig.
Thank you so much for your time, Geno. Best of luck in this set. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, totally glad to hear some confidence there from Geno as well about his chances in that next round, but you can't look too far forward. You still have a pretty tough opponent ahead of you right now here in the form of Simplicity before they can even make it to the actual MSI side of things. But this should be very, very close. I mean, these two teams are both really, really strong. They're both mostly SPL anyway, for being honest, at their caliber of play. I mean, I'm expecting the best set that we've seen all week to be happening right here.
It's the gray area, that's for sure. These two teams, I don't know that I would necessarily want to alley-oop them the SPL caliber just yet. Maybe need a little bit of practice to kind of smooth things up around the edges. But for the most part, we are definitely going to be seeing a very competitive matchup between these two teams. I think individually speaking even, these laning phases could wind up being pretty spicy. I'm expecting a lot of early game pressure gods to kind of remain the central focus here for both teams, looking mostly towards things like the Neja, the Muzen. Deathpanter was even mentioning it himself, where I found it interesting that he said that there's like a mini meta that develops in these best of 3 series, and I have to agree with that entirely.
No, he's exactly right, and the way that you can adapt quickly is usually the ones that come out on top. But there's some killer matchups here, man. SoloOrTroll and maniaKK in the laning phase, that's going to be huge for me to watch. I mean, Meerkat and Deathpanter, where do those two end up coming out? You're not going to be able to let Merlin slide through this time, or either one of those guys can punish you on it. I expect for things to be looking a little bit different here as we move into our final set of the day, the decider for which end of the bracket these two teams end up on. And Armada will be the team in that first pick spot. I talk about it all the time. There's some chance you can maybe do a little bit more of a throwaway ban here and try and leave something like a Muzen or Merlin open for yourself.
These two teams are definitely going to be looking to duke it out early on, Finch. We saw Simplicity kind of destroy Sanguine in that game 3 last match,
Both teams had a really destructive game 3, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty much the case. Armada did the same thing to Hype Unit as well, where it was just the early game that they chose to dismantle. So with both of these teams having the mentality of just pressure right out the start, then that's going to make this drafting phase maybe a little bit wonky even.
I think there's a really good chance that it could kind of upset things a little bit. In the last set, we saw Muzen get first picked, I think all 3 times it made it through. It even made it through to be first picked in that first set with Armada versus Hype Unit. I think that's what we could see adjust here, Taco, is where a Muzen in particular gets valued. Hindu was talking about toward the end of that last set. I don't know if you can keep letting this god through anymore.
Well, Armada's certainly trying to let it through for themselves, only if Simplicity will allow it. I have to imagine that their bans are going to adjust in accordance to those that are typically favored by Armada, possibly even some Erlong takeaways. Ratatoskr has also been another prevalence pick here for Faeles, something that Armada, I'm certain, if they've done any homework at all, that they know Simplicity definitely likes to lean towards that.
Armada's also shown a lot of prevalence towards the Jormungandr. I believe they picked that at all 3 games as well, in first or second pit slot, whichever one they end up having to take it. So that's another thing Simplicity have to worry about. Yeah, you want to ban away the Muzen Cobb, but Armada are clearly happy grabbing this Jormungandr right away too, so maybe that's weighing on their shoulders. There's a lot that Simplicity has to consider just in these first couple of bans.
And it's taken them a while to figure it all out, Finch, because Pele's still on the board as well. That's something that Mass definitely has at his disposal, but Merlin will be the first takeaway here from Simplicity. It took them a second to really commit to that one, but Finch, this really felt like Armada kind of strong-arming Simplicity into a Merlin ban.
No, I think that what this was Meerkat's aura emanating from the Armada booth all the way over to Simplicity.
Get him on Poseidon?
Yeah, and them recognizing no way we can let this guy play Merlin. Just 0% chance that we can let the Nace champion pick that god up. No, we gotta take that away. No way.
It is interesting to think, though, that this could be NA's minor league chance to retake the crown over from Europe, because if called back...
Is that right?
Well, and this is originally in
Signum,
and
yeah.
Signum struck first blood.
That's right. So yeah, maybe a chance for Armada to come back in and actually close this one up. Wow, surprising that it's first pick that bans away the Muzen Cobb.
They want Jorm.
And that must be what it is. So now Simplicity have to try and decide where they're going to go with this next ban. Freya, I feel like, has to be taken away. If you let Snoopy pick up Freya in this first spot, that could easily be GG right there. That's how strong Snoopy is as a player. So that's got to be banned, which means Armada can now take the Jormungandr, and that leaves a ton of stuff still available. The Erlong Shen on the backside of that, Chronos. I would have thought on the backside, but no, Armada don't want the Jorm here. They'll take the magical ADC for themselves.
Armada will take Jorm if Simplicity don't. That is kind of the direction that I feel that this composition is heading right now for Armada, but there is still potential for even a Fafnir to kind of shake his way into the lineup early on, since Fafnir feels safe, I think, and having a Chronos already locked in for Armada means that double Hunter composition is a possibility later on. Really just depends on how Simplicity chooses to respond. But seeing the Chronos, you need burst right from the start. And if you can't have some form of burst control to really lock down this Chronos with, then that's going to be super problematic.
That's what I'm saying. I'm feeling that Erlong Shen could work for them here as a response pick. They obviously can't grab Jing Wei. That's been banned. So the next Hunter has kind of been Hachiman in response to that. In a world where Freya, Jing Wei, and a Muzen Cobb have all been taken off the table. So, but Simplicity don't have to feel rushed, I don't think, into that pick. They can wait on it and maybe even grab like a solo laner, a support here early on to try and go along with whatever pick they want in the jungle, which appears to be the Batz that they have picked up for Faeles.
Well, don't necessarily need all that burst in the world if you can get a lot of control instead, and Batz' Fear No Evil is certainly going to cause some problems there for Chronos on that rewind timer. Just got to watch the positioning. Terra as well, I think, could be a nice soft addition for Simplicity's damage routine.
Exactly right, and we've seen some of her presence. It was a saving grace earlier on today on some very desperate Phoenix defenses, so Terra brings plenty of potency in her own right, as now Bastet being hovered here by Armada Taco, and this is certainly some early jungle pressure. They switch over to the set. So a bit of indecision, though I'd be surprised if Jorm doesn't at least come in paired with whatever it is they grab. And it is the set. Is Snoopy going to take this back to the ADC role, or can they use that earlier game to maybe throw Simplicity off the scent of where it's actually going?
Here's the problem, though, Finch, is you can't tell where that's going. Set could be for Snoopy. He's already revealed it earlier today, but that feels obvious. So this is where mind games start to develop within a match, because with Set having been locked in, the only time that Simplicity has seen Set played for Armada is Snoopy taking it to Hunter role, then you might want to make the assumption that it's going to be for Hunter again. But if that's the case, all the ideal 1v1 boxing gods are pretty much off the board right now. No one really has a solid 1v1 potential against Set.
I think you're right. With this many Hunters banned, with the Freya, Muzen Cobb, Jing Wei, Chronos already picked, then maybe you can go ahead and pick the Set here, knowing that there's really not anything that can stand toe-to-toe with you at Set here in lane. I mean, you were talking about this earlier, right? Once he has those boots finished, it's so difficult to get away with them from him. He's able to use those clones to catch back up to. Maybe it is for Snoopy.
He has such steady poke potential as well because of the clones, and then let's not even begin with the ultimate. I mean, that ultimate was designed entirely for you to go berserk in a 1v1 scenario.
Yeah, it's called the Kingslayer, and so you can clearly slay some of these peons with it as well. So a very potent one that's picked up for him. Armada might be on the brain throne right now if they are able to trick Simplicity with the way they've banned so far. But let's move into these bans. Zhang Queen, Osiris taken out. That's a bit of an eye towards SoloOrTroll. Meanwhile, even more hunters, even Hachiman banned. Armada making it real tough for Simplicity and StreakUp to find a hunter.
All of the escapes, that's all that Armada are trying to take away right now, but Chernobog will manage to slide on by. Can't ban them all, especially not really going to take away the Poseidon, but hey, after Meerkat's last performance, I almost want to make a joke here about the Poseidon.
They're banning it from themselves.
Just for old time's sake, but hey. We all know Meerkat is a perfectly capable mid laner. You just gotta have fun where it's given, but the Morrigan might have been what Armada were truly after all along here, and if that's the case, not only is this a really strong comfort pick for Meerkat, but this could also be an excellent Fear No Evil tool to use against Simplicity.
Could be good to potentially steal that one away from them and give them their own layer of initiation. So Morrigan now hovered. But with this Morrigan coming in, it's looking more and more like Set actually is in the jungle this time. And that's probably why Simplicity honed in so much on the solo lane, since it was a bit unclear on where that flexibility might be going. Go ahead and try and limit some of that pool for SoloOrTroll and take some of his picks away as the Alma Morrigan comes in.
Waiting for Mass to play Morrigan when we see the loadout screen. I wouldn't put it past him.
Sure.
That is the one benefit that I did give Armada at the very start of this. I mentioned Armada's capability to flex so freely because their team is honestly full of a roster of players who just have such a wide diversity as far as god choices are concerned.
They're all so strong individually that you can trust them to play just about anything. So I think there is still, even now, a bit of ambiguity about their draft. I imagine everything's going to go where we expect it to, but as you said, there's still plenty of chance for them to flex it off. Meanwhile, on the other side, Simplicity have now kind of sneakily drafted themselves a ton of sort of tail end of the early game, mid game presence around this Batz, the Chernobog, the Ullr. They can rotate really well and blow you up.
I think my only concern though for Simplicity is that there is a clear lack of magical burst damage here, and so that could cause some issues when trying to deal with gods like the Chronos or even like the Morrigan. Both of them kind of need to be blown up all at once, and maybe Chernobog or Ullr can opt for a crit-oriented base build. Maybe the Batz and Jormungandr is enough of a distraction factor for these double hunters to work out really well for Simplicity, but I think Armada might have actually pulled the fast one over Simplicity here.
There's definitely a good chance. Like you said, the CC chain might be good enough to where even if they don't have bursts, they can kind of keep them controlled enough to prevent those resets and the escapes that you're talking about. But you're right, some of that AoE might mean that Armada has a chance to actually clump up without having to worry about the other team. But either way, let's move into the action. Armada versus Simplicity. You already heard aggro. Let's get it over to them.
Nice is right. Aggro excited.
Nice, let's go. I'm pumped, guys.
This is going to be a good one. Armada versus Simplicity. Tom and Aggro on the call, and of course Doug on the ones and twos as we get ready for it. Mask bringing out the set like his carry did last time around. We'll see if it's just as devastating in the jungle as it was in the lane.
I really like that kind of audible by Armada to show the set off in ADC, especially best case scenario for them where Snoopy has a really impactful game on it and makes you respect it in that slot and makes you second guess where you want to put your bans. It means that SoloOrTroll gets a couple gods banned out that he may have wanted, but he's very, very comfortable on this Amaterasu.
SoloOrTroll, I think that's kind of one of his bigger claims to it. He can play a lot of different things in this lane, you know, and that's a big deal.
Having that flexibility out of your solo laner to play a bunch of different styles of compositions, definitely pretty big. Looks like a bit of a miscommunication there between Solo and Geno on where they wanted to be. Solo wanted to kind of get in the middle of this minion wave and fight it out a little bit with maniaKK and genetics, but Geno was trying to just get the clear, though the fact that Geno's hammer went on cooldown a little bit earlier is a good sign.
Down here, fighting over the blue buff. Genetics gets stunned out. The blue buff does go the way of maniaKK. Nice steal there from Simplicity. Mid lane, fighting over the mid harpies. I'll see a good one. Chronos will probably go the way of Simplicity as well, but SoloOrTroll, real locked in, real comfortable. Talking to him before the game, he was like, look man, it's different playing on LAN. I got a little taste of it when I came up and played with Splice, but here after these couple of games, he told me, he's like, I feel so much more comfortable. He plays on 100+ ping on the West Coast, so a very different game.
Absolutely. You have to aim so differently in that sort of situation. So he's definitely made the most of his time so far. I mean, during that time of Splice, he definitely looked like he had a little bit to get comfortable with, but overall was very good. Continues to improve now here today and after yesterday, and he'll be playing tomorrow as well, guaranteed, regardless of the outcome of this game. Just a matter of who he's going to go up against. Is it going to be Baskin or is it going to be FinoKK? Are those good options?
Dignitas or Rival, a lie in wait for these two teams. Winner will play Dignitas, and the loser will go ahead and play Rival. Is it really winning if you have to play Dig?
No, not really, no.
But Rival, kind of 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, right? SoloOrTroll, though, a standout player for sure this weekend. Very, very impressed with what he's been able to do. The support players, if you ask me 2 players to look at, though, I'd be looking to support. Geno has been phenomenal this whole tournament and in general. And honestly, Genetics has been a very stand-up support player as well. And they've both been playing lights out this week.
Completely agree. I think both of these guys have been real impact players for their teams. Geno, I mean, he was the carry of a lot of the earlier sets up against Hype Unit in particular. I think he looked great in that one. Genetics made plays certainly against Sanguine just one set ago. Certainly in games 1 and 2 where he's able to walk in and steal speed buff away. That's a big deal. But just in general, I think that these are 2 very aggressive-minded supports that really dictate the pace of their teams.
For sure, you can tell the way that they lead, even out of the game. Watching Genetics in the middle of the last set, once they kind of leave the game that they lose, he's the one like kind of barking orders is the wrong thing, but just kind of as the team takes their break, talking through everybody, and that's exactly the way he plays. Look for this Terra to be up close and starting the team fights, getting that dash on onto the back line, and trying to force these fights, and Simplicity following up, which is why this Jormungandr pick, I think, is fantastic for a team that plays that way.
Also love it against this Morrigan pick, in particular, for the Terra, that is, because of a situation just like that. What is Meerkat really supposed to do in that spot? His best option, stun the dash before it hits the monolith. That's not exactly an easy execution ask for anybody. So I'd imagine that Genetics is going to have a pretty good matchup up against Meerkat, though it also does give Meerkat a good transformation target. Meerkat has a couple of those this game. The Amaterasu for mobility and the ability to run around a little bit. You've got the ability to change into the Terra during a full-on team fight. Got a couple options.
Faeles thinking about it. And he might be my favorite option. The transformation into Fear No Evil is probably where my mind goes to every time I see the Morrigan selected. I just think to Fear No Evil. And that is the heart and soul of this matchup, folks. Not Geno and Genetics taunting each other and saying, I wish you would.
Both those guys know exactly where the BET is on their keyboards. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Those keys a little bit worn out, I would say, for both of those guys. But that's what makes it fun, you know, that competitiveness and also the bit of, it's not cheeky banter, as I would say, but
it's a little more edged than that, if I'm honest.
It's something like that.
There's a little bit of realness there. Listen, Geno's a Knicks fan. He knows what it's like to be hurt, okay?
That's all saying nice. They just had a big signing. They didn't, by the way. That's the joke.
That's always the joke, unfortunately. Mass trying to make this a little bit. I'm trying to deflect the hate real quick, okay? But Mask and Geno here trying to combine for the right side Harpies, and they'll grab it. But that's really the extent of the action here in the early game, which is a real big change of pace. And I think that's because of the matchup. Both Hype Unit and Sanguine really like to look for that early game monstrosity. Hype was able to do that pretty well. It actually won a game off the back. Sanguine did it as well. Actually won a game off of the back, so nice stuff there. But Simplicity and Armada both play that kind of slower style. And when you watch them go head-to-head, that's kind of what we should expect.
I mean, Armada usually likes to get Snoopy ahead in the early stages and invade not necessarily red buffs consistently, but purple buffs in particular, because teams seem to be a lot less interested in going all in to defend purple buffs. Maybe it's because they value the buff less. It's harder to get to from mid lane. There are some reasons there as to why that might be, but teams are definitely more willing to give up back-to-back purples than back-to-back reds.
I think you nailed it there with it. It's just further away from mid. You can shade over to mid for the red. Everybody's kind of local. Purple buff seems so far away. Even the blue buff we see full rotations for because of how impactful it is for the solo laner.
That's because solo laners just complain so much when they lose it, I think, is the big difference.
Carries are used to being stepped on.
Exactly.
They don't mind so much. Mid laners are whining about the triple split in mid. Blue. Solo players want their blue.
As we should be, by the way. That's all right.
What a change, actually, from the beginning of the season, right? We've had a 13-week split, or a 13-week phase, and then some break time. But at the beginning of this season, it was a very different story. Watching teams adapt and change and now play this game has been a lot of fun, I think.
I wonder what the next iteration is, though. I doubt this is the final form. Is Jorm going to, in his final form, Deathpanter going to try and join in, but it's SoloOrTroll that's the focus.
Yeah, he's going to go down. That's first blood, but here comes help from Meerkat, who transforms into the Chernobog. maniaKK in trouble, and Geno trying to stop him. maniaKK one more time, stunned twice in a row, and the support gets him, but dies after the fact. Meerkat going to suffer the same fate. It's 3-1. Snoopy gets the rewind, and StreakUp walks away.
StreakUp has boots, so he's out of there. No worries about getting caught from quite that far away. SoloOrTroll had to use his ultimate just to try and secure Totem of Coup on the right-hand side, when maybe he should just be giving that up, because as soon as that blue buff comes up, all of Simplicity rotate in, knowing that SoloOrTroll doesn't have his ultimate available. That's an easy pickoff for maniaKK and the boys. Good attempt by Meerkat, but again, he gets a little bit too close, ends up trading his life out. Geno's dead there, 100%. Yeah. He's got to just leave him in that situation and accept that they're getting 2 for 1 in that spot. You'd rather get 2 for 1 than 3 for 1, which is ultimately what ends up happening.
Small windows of opportunity. Straight up, SoloOrTroll saves the ultimate there. I don't think any of that happens. It's a very, very small window. Trying to steal that Totem of Coup from the Jormungandr, that's you ate your Wheaties if you think you're trying to take that one. So an aggressive play, to put it lightly. Simplicity punish Armada for it, as they should. This Jormungandr just does so much damage in the lane. You know, I sometimes call some of these Guardians warriors, and Jorm certainly feels like one.
This is a great opportunity for Snoopy. Look at him wrap around the back here. Deathpanter doesn't know he's there. I guess with StreakUp clearing the wave, they decide they don't want to start the fight with Snoopy's back turned to that side, but Meerkat's going to find stun. Ooh, or not.
And Genetics will pop the ultimate in exchange. Genetics thought it as well. Deathpanter now going to force the fight because of that Terra ult. There's Faeles picking off one. Geno surrounded, going to get stunned out as well. Damage from the mid lane Hunter doing strong stuff, but it's Masked who falls down. The double kill for Faeles. And this is best case scenario for Simplicity. I mean, I always talk about Batz being 80% of the time a utility character. And then when you get those games where you start to go off, he can be that hard, dummy, strong carry. 3-0-2, Jotun's done. This is a scary moment for Batz.
It really is, because he's going to start really hurting Meerkat in particular, because Meerkat may go into that stealth. Just toss the monkey. Monkey finds him for you and reveals him and takes you to him in that sort of position. Meerkat's only level 7. Faeles already in double digits in the level column. It's looking rough. And Meerkat there, I mean, without ultimate, and they know you don't have beads, they know you don't have ult.
Yeah.
You can't step up unless you're getting someone to get on the defensive right away. But a great reaction by Deathpanter. May have just heard the stun coming, maybe the footsteps or something like that. Got his headset all the way cranked up.
Oh yeah,
in the booth, because that was a great reaction to avoid the stun.
Yeah, that was some straight up like Counter-Strike footsteps for sure. You know, I never really thought about how well Batz deals with stealth characters. I mean, your overhand smash is like half of the lane.
Yep.
Like you said, the monkey's gonna find him, and the ultimate, you're kinda in this area. I'm gonna drop my Fear No Evil, which is the size of the lane for what it's worth, and you catch the player. So it definitely is a nice trick there versus Meerkat and what he wants to do, which is be sneaky.
Gold Fury attempt, and Geno's the only one even close. This is a great call by Simplicity. Must have just got the info that everyone had back to the right time.
Beautiful.
Nice and clean. And Meerkat decides to serve himself up on a silver platter.
This one's interesting. Terra popped again, and Geno goes, Meerkat, what are you doing? And immediately transforms. Here comes trouble as Deathpanter goes to the backside. Mask jumps in as well, and Faeles going to take care of that. 4 kills for the Monkey, unanswered by Armada. NotGeno finds the way around the back end, and Snoopy shuts down the jungler, but StreakUp, blind from behind, finds the support. It's 2 for 1. Simplicity with 7, Armada with 2.
Man, it is critical that Snoopy's able to get at least 1 kill there. He gets a huge shutdown bonus on a Faeles, got his purification beat as well, and just keeps someone even in this game for Armada. I mean, everyone else is falling pretty far behind at this rate, but Snoopy's able to stay at least somewhat even with where StreakUp is. StreakUp's ahead in gold, but that's just kind of the way of the road when the enemy team's getting objectives.
SoloOrTroll. There is a lot of character on these teams, and I am here. That is what I signed up for, man. You know, I really liked. That's why I kind of like the console guys. There seems to be a lot of boisterous players over there. Armada and Simplicity certainly not giving us any drought of that either. Geno and Genetics staring at each other before. SoloOrTroll with the "you didn't steal it this time" taunt. Gotta love that one. Especially watching the Jormungandr just. I guess I'll leave now. Just ults all the way away. SoloOrTroll's like, see you.
That's mine now. For once. It's like the second blue he's got in this game. I think Mass dropped 1 for him earlier. Other than that, maniaK's been all over it.
Pretty much. Simplicity's been all over it, to be fair. It's been a team investment over there, and maniaK's has had a little bit of a lead as well, which, you know, that's to. I would say that's to be expected. You know, I was talking to some other people, and, you know, maniaKK, pro league player, definitely a professional level player, but playing down is a very real thing. It's been a while since maniaKK has played, you know, on that professional level. Do you think that impacts his gameplay?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's still a premier player in the solo lane, no doubt about it.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he'll have the odd game or two where he doesn't look to have as much of an impact, but everyone does.
Oh my God, Snoopy gonna chase out the Aegis, perfectly timed the time rift, gets hit by the axe, StreakUp looking for it, and gets the kill! Snoopy with the juke shoes earlier on, and StreakUp kicks him anyway. What a 1v1. Ooh, that's the duel, baby.
Snoopy just couldn't make up his mind, dude. Does he want to Beads Rewind? Does he want to Beads Aegis? Does he want to just hope that he lives in that situation? Just caught in indecision and ends up getting him killed.
Pyromancer being fought over here. Geno's available, and so is SoloOrTroll. They're around, they're local, they're in the middle of this scrum, to be honest with you. Simplicity trying to decide what to focus on. It's split. Pyromancer goes down almost accidentally, and here comes the jump onto SoloOrTroll. There it goes. Fails again, 6-1 and 2. Geno gets knocked up, but maniaKK largely just keeping players at bay. Fire Giant's definitely not the call here, Ryan, but it was almost like they were looking to zone there.
Man, it was a good attempt by Armada. Solo does what he can, but is just too far behind at this point. He's down a level of Faeles, doesn't have any physical defense whatsoever, went for just outright health with this Blackthorn Hammer, which isn't a bad idea. You don't need that much magical protection in lane against most Guardians, Jormungandr included to some degree, but just absolute health is the big thing that you need to defend yourself against magical and physical.
Let's take a second look at that Hunter duel we saw over on the left side. Snoopy versus StreakUp. Look at that dodge from Snoopy to avoid the axe, and then Snoopy lands all his stuff. This was impressive too. Aegis, bang, right as soon as it's done. But at the end of this fight, StreakUp lands the axe, hides in the minions, and then gets the last shot through the Chronos ultimate. That was real fun to watch.
Yeah, Snoopy just sits there in that stun animation for 2/3 of the duration. You see the bar going down, and he's like, yeah, I don't really want to be here anymore. But, I mean, it was a great juke by Snoopy, a great one by him, but you hear it's the old Zapman adage. You know how good you are at Ullr if you can freehand the 3-1 combo without any sort of CC. StreakUp still freehands the combo on Snoopy aggressing on him, and that's the damage difference in getting him the kill.
Beautiful stuff. StreakUp, a player kind of coming out of nowhere, and everybody really impressed, I think. Can I speak for everybody there? Because he's been that impressive?
Yeah, he's been a beast, man. It's really been on the magical character for the most part, the Chronos Ullr.
This one's not going to hit anybody. Everybody looks towards the left. Geno. It's a moment of immunity. Meerkat looking for StreakUp. Now he's lost. There's the Fear No Evil, largely defensive. And Mask on the run. Deathpanter trying to find the shot. Last one hit the Aegis, and Mask is going to be good. StreakUp up top takes care of Snoopy. And now Deathpanter being chased, but good, look who's here. It's maniaKK from the other side of the continent, and he's gonna look towards everyone on the back line. Oh my goodness, the amount of land just spurned by maniaKK.
It's like
absurd.
It's a lot of blinks back to back to back, but they're loud and they're scary and they do knockups and damage. It's a lot like Blink though otherwise.
maniaKK, one of my favorite things about watching him in the solo lane, Faeles gets the invisible Meerkat. Like the fall here as the rest of the team shows up to save him. Mask can't find the corner case. Faeles starts forward, Mask finds it after the fact. Stunned in the middle, knocked up as well. And that's a baker's dozen for simplicity.
Man, tough game so far for the Armada boys. I mean, as I said, Snoopy's the only one kind of close. We want to keep him in the game, let Armada have a shot, and then he gets soloed by StreakUp, and that kind of pulls all the wind out of the sails of Armada. Simplicity just playing very cleanly right now, really around Faeles, continues to have a very good showing here at LAN. Looking really solid on this on Batz, 7-2 for him.
Yep.
Another rough game for Meerkat, though. I mean, some bad decision-making on when to go in. I think this Terra pick really did hurt him, though. It's just so easy for them to force purification beads, and they've got a great composition that punishes you for not having purification beads.
Terra's also another character that deals with invisibility really well. That monolith is gonna catch you, man. It is so big. So Terra's ability to kind of get rid of what Meerkat's trying to do with this Morrigan pick anyway. Be sneaky, be stealthy. Certainly a nice look for sure. Genetics trying to serve himself up here.
Doesn't even take any damage. I mean, that was a hammer, a Dark Omen, and a skewer for Mask, and it still did very, very little.
We bring up damage checks a lot, where your assassin will just kind of throw something at the mid lane and go, okay, I can kill. What does that feel like?
Well, it doesn't feel good when you press tab and realize he's got book 2 at this point. Deathpanter's got to use the ult because he dashed right in front of Snoopy. Put him in a lot of trouble. Doesn't have a lot of good landing options, but landing down aggressively does get him his dash back.
Right where he was. There's the Fear No Evil. Faeles gonna be stunned out. No punish though. Meerkat changes options to StreakUp. Jumps away. Deathpanter under the tower as well. Low Aegis. Mask waits it out. Takes care of business. StreakUp on the bad side as well. Armada looking for the counter initiation. The frenzy popped by the red team. And SoloOrTroll doesn't care. Mask the double kill. maniaKK the only one alive. And hold that thought, because Mask picks up 3 and turns it around. A full deicide for Armada. The Gold Fury is down. Ryan, what do they get?
Fire Giant. They've got time on time because the man you have to worry the most about getting there is either Deathpanter with the ultimate, that's down, or maniaKK with teleport. He died last, so you're good to go. What an atrocious fight from Simplicity, and it was just a great pinching by Snoopy, who really gets to walk right past everybody else and get the whole fight going from behind. At that point, Mask is in a perfect position in order to capitalize on that. His patience was solid, but what was Deathpanter's initial positioning? That's really what baits all of Simplicity in. Faeles goes in, says, let's just try and disengage all of this with the Fear No Evil. It didn't even get a set of beads, I don't think. Maybe it got Snoopy's, but that's just not enough when you're that far ahead on Batz to only get one set of purification beads. And then Simplicity's almost insistence on trying to save their mid laner's life. At some point, you just got to cut your losses and say, sorry, dude, you messed up, and you got to kind of hold that, especially with Gold Fury down, right? If you only lose Deathpanter there, what's the worst that Armada take from you? A tier 1?
Look at this jump. It was over a 6,000 gold lead before that play. Deathpanter dying is when it hits 6K. The rest of that movement towards parity is the rest of the team fight. If Faeles drops Fear No Evil, everybody leaves and goes, Deathpanter, see you later, man. That's okay. It's not great. You're not celebrating, obviously. It is a mistake, but you're totally fine. Instead, Armada get the team fight, the Fire Giant. Armada have tied the game off of that single play. All credit to him.
Now Genetics as well with Soul Reaver complete. Not particularly tanky at this point. I mean, he'll be tanky to Meerkat because Meerkat has no pen basically and a Bumba's mask. and they're about the same level, but against level 19 set that has a hastened katana now, you don't get to stay there for very long in that sort of matchup. Geno with the Shogun Sasari, by the way, love it.
The fight. That is to the start. Everything. Frenzy's popped as well, and StreakUp just does it. Snoopy's going to fall down to the backside. maniaKK chasing the stragglers who have left the screen. SoloOrTroll will leave the scene. A double kill for the Ullr player from Europe. And Simplicity, 16-8. They gave Armada a taste of what it's like to be in the lead, and then kind of got their wits back about them. They're playing like they have for the other 19 minutes of this game.
Yeah, just Snoopy dying with rewind and A gets up is an easy way to lose the fight, especially when he was such a big part of your last fight win. To lose him off the initial initiation is just not a good look.
Geno up here playing to the front line. Mass jumps and tries to start something. Faeles just says, how dare you? Rest of Simplicity inching their way up into the mid lane. Meerkat invisible, gets the stun onto two different players. Genetics low. Oh, what a nice little beads. Get Meerkat out of business. Phoenix,
yeah, that's
alive?
enough actually though. Meerkat dead.
Oof.
Can't run away in time from the worm. No CC available. Okay, no, they did get him in time. maniaKK falls. Good attempt to try and teleport out. Doesn't take your cooldown, so it's just a valiant effort for him. But that's actually a really big play from Meerkat. That triple stun
That's a win.
absolutely saves the Phoenix there.
And that's all you're looking for.
Yep.
If you lose 3 players, as long as the Phoenix stays up, that's a win. That is the only goal when you're trying to defend that Phoenix in that situation. Mask and Meerkat going down, it's all good. The Phoenix stays up. Simplicity basically have to do it again.
Deathpanter has his relics, but needs to be careful because Snoopy's lurking. Purification beads there. Bit of an overlap of CC. Maybe if Snoopy holds a stop time, they can kill Deathpanter once he exits the wall, but as soon as that extra CC is down, kind of removes that option.
Just barely safer than the last play. All right. Coin flip it is.
that was basically a true coin flip. Good attempt by SoloOrTroll, but goes Simplicity's way. Not a big deal either way. That's not a backbreaker. Even if Armada steal it, the game isn't over because Simplicity got it. It's a nice boost that'll help get Sentry Vision on Fire Giant. That's really what that Gold Fury was for. Was who's going to be able to finish the item they need and buy the ward instead of having to choose between the two.
Yeah, we're about 24 in. A whole bunch of kills, to be honest with you. Simplicity doubling that of Armada's. A very slight lead. This has been Simplicity's game for pretty much all 24 minutes. You subtract those, what was that, about 4 minutes in the middle where Armada kind of bit back, but that's it. Simplicity kind of shut them down after the fact. And a nice start to this series. Of course, this is to see the winner will get to play Dignitas. That's
Congratulations.
yeah. The loser, of course, gets to play Team Rival, the Pro League version. And it'll be an interesting setup for sure. Both these teams representing the minor league. And you heard, I think it was Hinduman earlier, kind of alluding to the fact that this is sort of an unofficial kind of minor league, crown. The middle of the season.
Yeah.
Last year it was Insignum that took the unofficial minor league crown. Now, Armada Simplicity, who's top of the crop.
I don't think it was unofficial for Insignum. They had a minor league section of the land. That was official.
All right, yeah, I won't take that away from them. My apologies. You're absolutely correct.
But you're right. It definitely feels that way for this round here between these two squads.
The Pyromancer starting here. Armada burning it. And Simplicity turning it. Easy for Simplicity.
I believe that was StreakUp. Quick little bladed arrow through the whole team.
Tuck, tuck. Easy.
Interesting rune forge for StreakUp.
I guess there's a lot of crowd control on the rest of the team. You're hitting somebody in Fear No Evil. You're hitting somebody that maniaKK has looked at. They're slowed, right?
Plus, you probably want some HP to try and deal with this Morrigan burst. This wall from Genetics is sick because the rest of the team's actually doing fire right now. Mass is trying to handle Faeles, but fire's getting low. Meerkat found out.
There's 10% left on the objective. Meerkat gonna look for Deathpanter, who's likely gonna die. Dashes into the wall, but it's Simplicity that do confirm it. Faeles is dead though. Mask looks good there. maniaKK's getting low, but dealing with 3 players by his lonesome. Knockup's good. maniaKK goes down. Mask again on the good side. Deathpanter goes down. Meerkat on the good side of that one. 3 players no longer have the Fire Giant buff. And Mask dies for it. Genetics will get wiped. doesn't feel good about that, immediately starts barking to his left. And again, Mask gives up his life, but you have one goal there. Kill the fire giant, homies.
Man, Deathpanter, I believe, had beads that whole time and just kind of took that Fear No Evil from Meerkat after the transformation. That's a great play from Meerkat,
wonderful.
by the way. For on a day where he has not looked good as a whole, for him to sneak past belief, he went high when the rest of his team was blocked off by this Terra wall, uses that extra mobility from the Bumba's Mask. His build is really light on pen. That's because he's only looking to hit backliners. And Morrigan's really the only character that you can do this with consistently as a mage. He's not trying to stun Genetics or maniaKK ever. It's literally just trying to get on top of Deathpanter, Faeles, or StreakUp. He does it perfectly there. Stuns Deathpanter, gets the damage on him, transforms, Simplicity get fire, but because of the way that Meerkat was able to get in and just stop the DPS for a little bit longer, they take extra damage from the Fire Giant. Everyone is kind of discombobulated. It's chaos by the time the rest of Armada get there, and Armada basically wipe the floor with Simplicity. Only StreakUp now with the buff.
To be fair, if I'm Simplicity, StreakUp's the guy that I want to have the buff, but that's pretty much that is as close to best case scenario for Armada as you can get. Be positive about that play for Simplicity. It got dicey towards the end, but that beginning, and I started to say this about maniaKK, and it was caught up with a team fight. maniaKK's identity has always been the zone guy. You can be the lane bully, which he does, but there are other people that have kind of outshot. He zones so well. Jormungandr, sure, he does it kind of naturally. maniaKK zoning 3.5 players by himself, while his whole team is doing the Gold Fury. 3 players stuck in the middle lane, and one guy who sort of got past, but was still being slowed down. maniaKK sitting there like, yeah, man, I got this. I'm the entire offensive line. Hit my guy. Meerkat said fine and stealth past him. But Simplicity, I like that approach.
I don't know how much I like this, though. I mean, Snoopy has no purification beads. Faeles can insta-kill him off of Fear No Evil from this position, and they'll know his beats timer. He did it pretty late after that last team fight when chasing the kill on the Genetics. This is risky from Armada.
Meerkat playing with some sound cues. Love that, by the way. Make them keep guessing. Stealth and go nowhere. Keep your opponent honest. It's a very important thing when playing sneaky characters like this, or, Loki if you want to do that. Simplicity.
Yeah, Meerkat has a type, doesn't he?
Yeah, a little bit. Simplicity trying to sneak away here. Gold Fury is available. Primal Fury specifically. maniaKK spits over the wall. Leash, just kidding. Now Leash a third time. Simplicity trying to keep themselves relevant. maniaKK pulling a Meerkat and sneaking around to the backside looking for Snoopy. Not able to find it. Meerkat does get popped by StreakUp. Mask is low. There's a second frenzy. Snoopy's even lower. Fails. Picks up that one. 2 dead on the side of the North Americans. Mask being real smooth until the surround.
Again, I just don't love this fight selection by Armada.
Oh,
Great.
man.
The dot damage from Geno, I believe, got it done. Or maybe it was at the hammer through the wall, that dragon hammer. Either way, Armada's just kind of playing with fire there by getting that involved when Snoopy didn't have beats up. He rewinds, he takes too much damage. The Soul Reaver from Genetics, admittedly, pays big dividends there. His poke on the Snoopy was super relevant, and then maniaKK's able to come through, force the rewind, Faeles, cleans it up with Fear No Evil very easily. I mean, Meerkat getting one shot before he can transform.
Oops.
Also not ideal.
Simplicity looked real put together, and they are forcing Armada to answer. Now, unfortunately for Simplicity fans, Armada are kind of answering, but unfortunately for Armada, they are left answering. There will be a point where Simplicity makes the play, and you can't answer to a dead Titan.
So, it's unfortunate. Who's answering who?
So
I got a little lost, I'm going to be honest.
It really wasn't that complicated.
It was just like, unfortunately for them, this. But fortunately for them, this. But unfortunately for them, also that.
Listen, man. I'm trying to placate the fans. You have fans on both sides.
Sure.
You're on Planet Taco. That's not my problem, okay?
That's fair. Yeah, that's true.
I'm kidding, Ryan. Am I?
No, that's very fair.
Really, what I was saying is that Simplicity are making the plays, and Armada are consistently answering them. The issue is that means Armada is consistently one step behind.
Sure.
Eventually, the play that Simplicity makes will be the Titan kill, and Armada won't have the answer. And so it's very impressive to watch Armada come back every time. But again, Simplicity are just going to hit the hammer harder.
Mask no relics for a long time, all things considered, in a Fire Giant dance. 30 seconds. Faeles has Blink and Ultimate ready to go. Even sold the boots already, got his Elixir of Speed, and got Short Sword. He's already ready with some crit chance. Trying to roll well from this position, and I love it.
I love it.
Especially because he went Warrior Tabai and not Talaria. He's not missing any movement speed from what he had before, and now he's just got a little bit more power and crit chance instead. We like that.
I mean, this is the late game. These team fights can win a game. Hun Batz, 3 basic, 2 basic. You can die if I crit you for 900. So this is where you roll. I like it. I love it.
Do you want some more of it?
Aggro with the country callbacks. There it is. Gotta say, did not expect that from him.
Something I bring, I guess.
Simplicity, not going to expect Meerkat looking around the right side. And that's the kind of crazy thing about, characters with stealth is that you know that Meerkat is going to stealth and hit your backline, but you still don't know that Meerkat, you know what I mean? You can't really plan for getting surprised. So that makes it a problem there for Simplicity trying to deal with the Meerk. Morrigan's been impressive. I've kind of liked the sneaky trickery that we've seen out of the mid lane for sure. 1-7-9, not the prettiest of slash lines, but keep in mind that's 2/3 of the kills that Armada has. Meerkat has been involved in. So that's certainly an interesting thing.
Kill participation certainly been there. Gotta work on that death number for sure. 7, a little bit high.
It's better than last set.
13, that's right.
You had that right there. That's that.
It was either 12 or 13.
12 was Snoopy. Snoopy had less deaths.
I thought he just had more kills. I think he was 3 and 13, and Meerkat was 2 and 13.
Well, they didn't hit 30.
How selfish.
Pings on Meerkat. Good to know. Good to know where the stealther is. But an elongated Fire Giant dance. Usually at some point we would see this fight. We know why Armada was taking their time. Mass didn't have any relics. They're up now. Simplicity, on the other hand, probably should have made a move by now, unless they're waiting for the passive gold to spool and that Deathpanter to finish.
Not a bad idea, honestly. I mean, you've got a power spike waiting for you that's that big. You know that Armada also kind of need
Look at that. He's 100 gold away.
Yeah? Well, he's probably going to wait until 1620 so that he can get a sentry at the same time.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I'd back at 15 if I thought that we had good enough ward control.
StreakUp's trying to... Yeah, there's ward control. Okay. Fire Giant going to be started. Deathpanter in position in the left lane. Minorly sarcastic. He's got a global ultimate, not a big
deal. He should be pushing.
Exactly. Like, that's exactly it.
Tier 2 is so weak already. I don't see why he wouldn't.
The red buff is a reason why he wouldn't. Red buff more important, I would say.
I mean, I guess now he can go back to it, but now you've lost ward vision on this objective.
And now Armada are here. Faeles didn't finish that Deathbringer yet. Armada just faking it. Simplicity know it. They're not gonna take the bait. But at some point, I mean, Armada acknowledged that Deathpanter was pushing. They know he's going to take the tier 2. It's got 1 HP. So what do? They look for the support player. Genetics is the target, already healed up, still 80% HP. He's surrounded by enemy jerseys. Now he's taking damage, and now he will go down. Tier 2 has gone down, and the Phoenix being pushed. maniaKK, biding his time, can totally do that. Yeah. Walks away, nobody backs to base. Deathpanter gets the Phoenix.
It's the right call to let him get the Phoenix at that point. I mean, you've already gotten 1 kill. If you get fire, look at it this way. It's bad right now, but if you get fire and just start pushing, it's fine. Whoa, StreakUp. Hello! Oh, he almost got it.
They're able to get it, but Deathpanter goes for it as well. StreakUp's here. Deathpanter surrounded. Likely to die here. Easy. See you later. Snoopy's going to get cleaned up by StreakUp. Gets a little bit too aggressive there. And so 4 players will still have the Fire Giant. Armada says goodbye to their carry. Question a lot of people are probably asking at home, why does Deathpanter not try to win the game? He's got the wave of minions.
He can.
But does it force somebody to back?
No. They go, what is this guy doing? And then they do what they're going to do.
There's no chance. No. Really?
No. 2 Phoenixes in a tower. I think he only had archers left. Maybe if he waits around for the next wave, he could end.
Okay.
Probably end on the next wave. Seems ambitious. I mean, I didn't love the call to try and go for the fire steal, but he didn't use that much, I suppose, to try and get in there. He'll have ultimate by the time it's relevant. Not having beads, they weren't upgraded in time. That hurts, for sure. But as long as he doesn't get punished for it, can't really blame him, I suppose. It is bad for Armada that they lose Snoopy, because that's their most important fire giant buff by about a country mile, but got a little bit too greedy, I suppose, with the chase.
Realistically, Chronos, even without a fire giant buff.
True. As I was saying, in that situation, you see teams get really paralyzed by decision all the time in ranked, where or even in lower level play, where someone's pushing, okay, we got the pick, we forced the 4v5, we know to do that, and then we just kind of like, well, I'll try and back, but oh no, you try and back, 2 of us backed by accident, and now we can't even do fire.
Yep.
And you got egg all over your face, you look stupid. That's the right call, to just stick there, accept the loss. We will lose left side Phoenix here. Let's get it whatever we can. And they get a lot. They get the picks, they get the fire giant, and now you just push up the left-hand side and it's not even a big deal. It's not a big deal that you lost to Phoenix at all.
Great call there from Armada, which is interesting because I think my analysis up to this point was largely that Simplicity were playing with higher level decision making than Armada was, and that right there was the highest level decision making we've seen all game. Gotta love it. The turnaround here for the North Americans, trying to take game 1. Real barn burner here, 38 on the clock. Genetics drops down the monolith, ready and waiting. SoloOrTroll stunned out. maniaKK gonna get silenced for the moment. Too big a deal. Ultimate out of the big worm. And this is how you keep a team at bay.
Hey, Snoopy, what are you doing here?
He's in trouble. He's dying. Deathpanter hits the shot. Snoopy goes down. Trouble for Solo and Meerkat. We're running out the right-hand side. Faeles chasing up Geno, but will give that up. StreakUp. That was an invisible, the Morrigan. Nails him with the bladed arrow in the invisibility.
Beast. Hammer misses. Now that's the go sign for Faeles. Overhand smash just a little bit out of range.
And the monkey missed as well.
And now Faeles should die.
Yeah, he's got to. Silence, 2. See you later. If the Sacred Monkey hits, that's definitely a kill. TP, dead. Oh well. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Reset. Simplicity looking up the middle lane, getting aggressive themselves. SoloOrTroll, Mask, and Geno still have the Fire Giant, but Solo's not here, and it's a 3-on-2 in the middle lane. Solo finally joins the fray, and StreakUp will deal with it. Takes more damage than he was worth.
I don't think they can get this Phoenix, Tom.
They can.
Solo is full HP. He's got ultimate. Deathpanter already in some trouble. Not even going to be able to get into the wall in time. Mask able to find his 7th.
Deathpanter, really rough game. Genetics, smooth moves. Will that be enough as he blocks the entire squad?
Unlucky.
But Mask just says, what up? Look at me. And you know what I call this guy?
What's that?
A setup guy.
Mask?
Yeah.
You think Mask is a setup guy?
He's
He's
certainly set. And he's going up.
Dude, it is too late for that.
The mid lane.
It is past 7 o'clock.
Armada trying to run it up mid, baby. SoloOrTroll deeks to the right. The rest of the team skitters into the jungle. A nice slide there from Simplicity. And Armada will look for the reset one more time. Fire Giant comes up 10 seconds. And basically, what you're trying to do in Simplicity's side against the Fire Giant team Armada, you're just wasting time. You're sitting there with a power play on the board. You're just like, if we waste 4 minutes of their time, that's all well and good. That's why you see maniaKK ult so early. Because the team goes, if we do nothing and maniaKK ults, they have to back up for the entirety of the Jormungandr ult. Armada kind of walked into that and didn't hokey pokey correctly. They ult, you walk away. But because they didn't walk away, they got jumped on. And Simplicity really made a statement there. Armada can't do that again. That'll be a real bad deal.
It's just hard to siege Phoenixes with a Morrigan. I mean, you don't have long-range damage, really. Sure, she might be able to find the Dark Omen poke, but she can't all in the enemy backline in that sort of position. It's tough for her.
Fire Giant brought down halfway, and Geno jumps into trouble. Meerkat's the first one to fall. Geno's still alive, and StreakUp caught by Mask on the exit. Now, Geno gets jumped on by Deathpanter. Perfectly timed stun. Deathpanter goes into the wall, and still there, by the way. Solo Dash is on top, and it's blackjack for Armada. 21 in total. Snoopy falls down to Faeles. But that's another great play. Genetics, unlike... Okay. Genetics will get killed out here. The rest of the team shows up. SoloOrTroll now. Mask in trouble. This is Arena, folks. Geno still here. Overhead smash is cut down.
So nasty.
SoloOrTroll.
Beast, man. And now the body blocks on a maniac as well, just to make sure Geno gets out of there. What a beast, man. That was impressive stuff. And those back camps, thank you.
Yep. And that's the icing on the cake. And the speed buff.
Speed buff.
The speed buff. This is... So, I have a problem with the Ullr part of this dude's name because he is absolutely soloing the hell out of players. He's a little bit of troll.
And he's trolling a little bit. Speaking of...
Here for it, though.
Meerkat, got to get some relics off.
Yeah.
And another fight with poor relic usage in that spot. I mean, too many. How many fights have started with him insta-dying? You know, it's hard at a competitive level where StreakUp's going to beads your stun and then axe you right away. You can beads too.
Yeah.
You just pre-beads there if you have to. If he's going to bead your stun, he's dead. That's the thing. You have to be able to get the transformation off into Hun Batz, into Set, one of these gods that can chase him down and punish him for not having beads. Either one of those work very well, but that's at least twice this game where Meerkat's gotten insta-killed off an initiation.
Luckily for Armada, Deathpanter has had an equally as lackluster game, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Both of them have made one or two plays that have been exciting and helped the team, but largely lackluster for both mid laners. Deathpanter here, you know, has had a lot of issues, frequently out of position, and then his team largely gets punished for it.
Maniac's pretty far forward here, has the ultimate still when necessary. Oni Fury pulled again by the rest of the squad as Maniac finally going to get some help.
Big stun on the backside, but a huge crit. There it is. Faeles, rolls, trips, and Snoopy goes down. Crit for 900 nearly as StreakUp puts Geno in the dirt as well. Number 23 for the red team. Meerkat in trouble and in the dirt. 3 players dead for a minute plus. And Armada on the defensive end. Simplicity. They can win. Not guaranteed, though.
No, not guaranteed. Mask has ult, but it's hard to get that Kingslayer to get a lot of value against 5 members that are all awfully healthy right now. Egg is still up for Deathpanter. Maybe you go for Faeles or StreakUp.
The final Phoenixes are still alive. There's 2, one in the mid and one on the right side, but the push in from Simplicity is beginning. Here's SoloOrTroll, half HP right now, using the ultimate, trying to find the stun, only gets Maniac, and Mask still down despite his best efforts. Titan attacked by the rest of Simplicity, and this should just be going through the motions. Double kill for Faeles, as it should be. 14, 6, and 14 for the European jungler. Faeles, stand up, my man. You and your team take game 1.
Faeles and StreakUp, both very impressive performances from those two in particular. On the other side, Meerkat and Snoopy just had rough ones again. Really, what happened to them against Hype Unit Game 2. Snoopy just doesn't get as much of an impact as you really need from your first pick Chronos. You have to take that away from StreakUp, and that's where the main problem lies now, in my mind, is that you can't give StreakUp his best god, which is Chronos, and then you want to give it back to Snoopy after such a lackluster performance.
Well, looking at this one, I really saw this is Faeles. I mean, you saw flashes of it in the Pro League, but I think he was outclassed there in the minor league. This is where he's kind of, you know, hitting his stride here. This is what you can expect out of Faeles when he has a good game and complete control from early to mid to late with the crit strike build.
Huge.
That crit gets the kill on a Snoopy, snowballs into the rest of the team fight. I'm not saying that Deathpanter won the game, but
I mean, at the same time, why is Snoopy there with no beads on an Oni Fury like 40 minutes into the game? That's largely relevant. It's just not the right idea.
Well, a great idea here from Simplicity. They take game number 1. We'll reflect with it on the desk.
Like a mirror, we plan to reflect here on the desk. Thanks, Tom and Agra, for a great call and a great game as well, though it did go pretty long. It is Simplicity that come out on top, though, at the very end of it. And Taco, this one was kind of back and forth. I don't even know that it should have been. Simplicity came out of the gates so hot. Faeles on the Ratatoskr, or excuse me, the Batz. No, I said Ratatoskr. The Batz was looking so good in that early game. I mean, he lit up the scoreboard, but then things got slowed down. I think about that play in dual lane where they get decided by the tier 2, and they end up dragging this game out. What stood out for you here in this one?
Armada just took a lot of preventative measures after they got that successful wipe over in duo to make it so that they could essentially bring the momentum back into their favor, with Simplicity having controlled so much of that early game pressure, with honestly a composition that didn't really scream early game either. Deathpanter, however, through that mid game was definitely having a lot of struggles, but StreakUp, of course, stepped up in his place, and having StreakUp combined alongside of Genetics and Faeles, it just felt like everything started coming together, but it was really chaotic. The main issue, and I think also the main reason why things were drawn out for so long, is because neither side was ever really complete enough to fully try and push in with enough time left on those respawn timers.
You heard Aggro talk about it early on in the game, where it didn't feel like either team was winning by quite a big enough margin to where they're able to take over the game afterwards. Like Snoopy would get maybe 1 kill on the back of a fight to make it 2 for 1 or 3 for 1 or something like that. And that was happening a lot throughout that game to keep things close together. That way, no one could really run away with it. Simplicity had a chance early. Armada brought it back and dragged it out. I think that's why you can see Simplicity are still really animated. They probably feel like they should have been able to wrap that game up a lot sooner.
Yeah, well, Armada probably feel like they should have been able to close that one out after the position that they were left in. It looked as though everything was finally starting to go right from around that minute 35 marker and onwards, but it all just dissipated so rapidly as soon as that pick takes place, and then for a gold Fury nonetheless. I think that's what really feels particularly awful for Snoopy there, is that gold is never really worth it. Having Oni Fury and the Primal Fury, I mean, that makes it a little bit more reasonable, but just dying at that area in general this late into the game,
right,
it never feels awesome.
No, and that's kind of a tough way for the game to end up going down. But I mean, there's a lot to kind of dive into. Taco, I want to talk a little bit about the way that Mass played this set. I know they didn't win, but I do really think he played it well. He even built it quite interestingly. I think he had the Mageyes in there, the Hide of the Nemean, Frostbound. He was very sort of bruisery in the way that he built, and if he caught up to anyone, they were dead.
Well, that was the problem, is that Simplicity can never fully disengage because of this set, and Mass being able to throw out the clones to give chase made it very problematic for Simplicity whenever they were actually looking for those retreats from finding successful pick or twos against Armada, so that they could successfully reset and then look to push out with a fully healed up squad. So it was tough. It wasn't easy by any means. I'm definitely wouldn't be surprised to see Armada try to run that set back, but maybe even Simplicity looking to take it away. It was fairly problematic there from the mid to late game.
Yeah, and maybe get Meerkat on something different. You don't want to beat a dead horse, but it feels like another bit of a struggle game for him in that middle lane on the Morrigan. So maybe try and prioritize a different pick from early on and get him into a spot where he can do a little bit better. I like some of what he was able to do. There was definitely still some good plays and good transformations, but for the most part, I think he was definitely handled in that game. You got to get your mid laner to a better spot.
And it certainly won't be easy to do against the likes of Deathpanter. The man is just so experienced himself. It's not as if Meerkat is completely unfamiliar either with the competitive environment. And we meme about the collegiate champion all the time, but in all honesty, once upon a time ago, before he took over the world of collegiate esports, Meerkat was also actually previously in the SPL.
That's right, Meerkat certainly a man with plenty of experience, so Armada's going to need him to step up the game a little bit. As again, this is the best of 3, so Simplicity could close this one up right here with a 2-0, or Armada could force them into a third game. And remember, this is mostly for seeding. Winner goes on to play Dignitas. Loser has the distinct honor of trying to play up against Team Arrival. So both these teams would probably prefer not to be on that side of the bracket. But a lot of time coming from Armada here on this very first ban, and I can see why. They banned the Batz. Faeles had a monster performance on it, so I think I get it.
Batz's Fear No Evil was just too controlling for Armada, and a lot of opportunities that they might have had power play instances for getting shut down by that Fear No Evil in the early to mid game. So it makes sense to me, at least, why Armada don't want to try and deal with the Monkey Man again. But the Chronos adjustment is also fairly interesting. Keep in mind, Armada chose to first pick this Chronos in the last game, so it's interesting to me that they would choose to strip it away here, but that does kind of force Simplicity into making a decision between Freya or Jorm, and I'm inclined to believe it'll be the Freya.
I'm thinking so too, and remember, Armada didn't even really prioritize that Jormungandr last game either, so I think Simplicity can feel pretty comfortable banning out the Freya here in this spot, and then expecting for Armada to maybe not worry about that, to perhaps go for the Muzen Cobb then in this slot. That's exactly what it will be. So Simplicity must plan on having some kind of answer for dealing with it. And if they give this to Meerkat, I predict a much better game for him this time in the middle lane. The Morrigan can be tough, but this Muzen Cobb, he should be able to handle.
It's been a rough day for Meerkat. And SoloOrTroll certainly didn't do his mid laner any favors earlier today, putting him a little bit on blast for the roast station with that Poseidon score line. But hey, what's in the fast is in the fast after all. And Meerkat, if there's one thing that I can definitely put faith in, is he knows how to play from behind, man.
That's one of those old staple ones, isn't it? Knows how to play from behind. Yeah, we used to say that about Demi. Struggling to play from behind. Kiki got that title once upon a time as well. Perhaps the next holder of it shall be Meerkat. And Simplicity now the ones thinking about where they want to go with their next picks. With the Muzen Cobb taken off, I opined before about the Erlong Shen, but I don't know that we'll be seeing him. He wasn't really particularly prioritized. Perhaps the Naja will step up a little bit in terms of where it's being valued, but no, it's the Jing Wei. She's dropped down a little bit. She has been getting banned some, but we don't see her first picked quite as much anymore, and it will indeed be paired with that Naja, so now we'll be seeing a little bit of Jing Wei here.
A little bit of a meta within the meta, essentially, between these two teams. Jing Wei, not necessarily a priority pick to deal with Muzen Cobb in the 1v1, so to say, but her survivability factor is still there nonetheless. Airstrike and agility on top of that persistent gust are just very troublesome tools in terms of figuring out ways to successfully gank her, but Thor, on the other hand, could be the solution that Armada needed here, because that semi-global opportunity could force that Jing Wei to have to play a little bit more passively than what you'd want.
Yeah, clearly they've already locked in SoloOrTroll's pick with that Thor, as he played it earlier on in this tournament. Perhaps that was just a result of some of the earlier rounds. We'll have a chance to see, though. It does represent a small bit of flex potential. The Serqet also could be support or jungle, so Armada should be able to keep Simplicity guessing with these first three picks. In response, though, Simplicity take the Jorm.
It's got to be Serqet support, because Armada are anticipating this Naja to be genetic support, Jormungandr for maniaKK, which would lead me to believe that this Thor is more intended for Mask, and I'm hoping that it is for Mask, honestly, Finch.
Yes, also me.
I would really be a big fan. I also think the wall is excellent for forcing Jing Wei into that airstrike preemptively, because you can give chase with the hammer toss.
You absolutely can, as Simplicity bans away the Zhong Kui. This is exactly what was banned out last time in this exact same spot from Simplicity, so no reason for them to change things up. If they follow along what they did last time, it'll be the Osiris as well, as they take a bit of an eye towards SoloOrTroll in the solo lane. Meanwhile, Armada should have a pretty good idea that it's still a jungler and a mid laner that's missing, so they still have some room to make some bans there, as Naja likely to be going into support, though it can also jungle. Maybe try and take away a strong mid laner from Simplicity.
Then again, Deathpanter's been doing a lot of ADC mids today, or ADC-based type mid laner, so no surprises to see Armada still a little bit skeptical as to whether or not Simplicity wanted to actually run a mage this time.
Wow.
Or if they're going to plan on just keeping these hunters in rotation. But I like that Morrigan ban and the adjustments. It's just better to not take any chances when Thor and Serqet have already been locked in and there's a Naja on the other side.
That is a lot of very impactful ults, though. I will say, I don't know that it's been particularly impressive, at least based on the last game, but still, Simplicity paying their due respects, not letting this Morrigan pick come back and have a resurgence performance in game number 2, so they banned that one away, along with the Poseidon ban coming out from Armada. So they did turn their eye towards the mid lane in particular and limiting Deathpanter, taking away a hunter and a mage from him.
What's most difficult here for Meerkat, though, when trying to decide on what mid he should opt for, in case this Muzen Cobb isn't for him, that is, it's the Jormungandr. There's a lot of mages that I think would be really sound for Armada. First one coming to mind probably be Zeus. I think that the Zeus would be an awesome pickup here for Armada, would introduce some AoE control and really limit gods like the Naja from wanting to go in as aggressively, kind of run the risk of getting blown up by the detonate and chain lightning before you even get a chance to deal some damage yourself. But then again, Jormungandr would love to see a Zeus. It's so easy for him to displace in the back line, and that's
Sure.
something else that Armada constantly have to keep in the back of their minds is what level of survivability do we really want to present for our mid laner, because having 2 assassins and an ADC already, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room for Armada to find a stable front line.
I agree. Maybe even some cripple could do them well to limit these 2 assassins and all that mobility they provide. But if that is the call for simplicity, we won't see it yet. Janus has come through for Deathpanter, and we saw some really strong Janus performance earlier today. Not from Deathpanter, but we know exactly what this gun can do. It can enable dives, it can create multiple paths which to move throughout the fight, and pretty clearly can put out a ton of damage too. I expect Deathpanter to be able to pilot this quite well, but Hell being highlighted here as last pick for Armada, that could certainly be strong.
All right, you had me, Finch. I think it's got to be Thor in the solo lane now.
Well, yes,
Susano
this-
has to be for Mask, man. Once upon a time ago, Mask made Susano get a skin when he was originally with Luminosity way back in the day. I can't recall the season correctly. Sorry, guys, but too many games have happened since then.
No one's going to hold that one against you, but you're exactly right. This is a pick Mask can play exceptionally well coming into this next game. So, I mean, look at this aggression. There is no one on this team I consider traditional frontline at all. There's a couple gods here who can kind of make their way into it, some Lonos and some tank items to try and cheat their way into tankiness, but this could potentially be trouble if this aggression doesn't hit the ground running.
This is explosive, though, from Armada, and I'm willing to bet almost anything that they're looking for frequent buff invades and non-stop, pretty much restrictions around the map objectives, because they'll probably just be looking to burst them out before Simplicity even has a chance to respond. There's Ratatoskr, there's an Ninja, but I'm not sure that that's enough early game presence for the likes of what Armada have drafted. And I swear to God, Mask better be playing that Susano. I'm gonna be heated if I just go on this huge spiel, gassing Mask up about his Susano gameplay for this boy to go and select Thor out of nowhere.
Well, we all hope that he ends up playing the Susano, but I don't know, Taco. I'm kind of on the other side. I think Simplicity have enough of their toe into the early game where they might be able to hold Armada off long enough to where they could potentially take them over. Though Armada does have a Hell, I don't know if I want to completely count them out in the late game, even though they don't have a front line.
Feast or famine, that's really all that I'm waiting to discover here between these two teams.
Well, let's go ahead and get into game number 2. It's Tom and Aggro to take us away.
Mask repping NASA. Danny Faeles just staring us down. Okay, buddy. You know, after game number 1, you can stare us down. Danny on the Ratatoskr, me on the 1, Ryan on the 2, and Doug on a little bit of everything. The observation, of course.
Wait, I thought Doug is usually on the 1s and 2s.
Hey, you like that?
So you're on the 1.
Listen,
I'm on the 2. What does that leave for Doug?
he's 3, 4, 5. There are many other numbers.
Then who's been doing those the rest of the time?
Aggro, determined.
Sorry, I'm in a real mood.
It's real high-res hours out here, folks.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, a blink on cooldown from Genetics finds himself on the wrong side.
He loves the short blink, man. The little displacement blink. He does it quite a bit,
It's fun.
I feel like. But if it works for him, it works for him. I'm a little surprised that Geno and Solo are this willing to take the 2v2, but look at how split they are.
Yeah.
For that ring bounce. As soon as it gets used, they start grouping up a little bit more. But SoloOrTroll using his Berserker's Barrage on Genetics is a win for Simplicity because they've got far better clear
Ooh.
than their double assassin counterpart.
Real important kind of juke there from Geno. Genetics slamming down with that 4th hit of the attack chain. Real scary stuff. Geno ranges it by that much. And a nice little win there for, well, nobody. So Armada going to slink back into their own jungle. Simplicity going to split up. Meanwhile, Mask here in the middle. And Meerkat on the Hell. Talk to me.
It's an interesting selection. Meerkat has struggled with this sort of more follow-up play style than on the Poseidon, struggled with the initiation play style on the Morrigan. Love Genetics leaving that little piece of blue,
That's my favorite.
messing with the timer. It does mean that you don't get the timer, though, which is a big deal, but don't hate it, for sure. Also lets him get towards this mid lane faster. So Meerkat maybe switch it up a little bit more. This is a completely different play style on the Hell. Maybe he'll find some more success here.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the attempts.
We'll see if he's got the Shinto in him. Shout out to Sanguine. Unfortunately falling earlier, but put on a show. Very, very fun to watch the Latin American squad come out. Going back to the little micro play of Genetics kind of taunting and leaving the little guy up. You know, For the longest time, I had always asked that question, and the pros' response is exactly what you said. You don't get the timer, so that takes away subsequent ability to go ahead and re-engage or re-invade. Well, twofold. One, in the solo lane, you don't know for a fact, but when your opponent's solo laner goes, they're probably finishing that off. And two, you get less experience. Nice dodge from solo. You get less experience for these invades anyway, so not repeatedly invading it and instead just taking away a timer or two kind of has the same impact.
It's definitely a borderline call, I
Yeah.
would say, in that situation to leave the mini. It's really just a matter of, do we feel like, oh yeah, Deathpanter is in a bit of trouble here. He's got to use the purification beads and will still lose about half his HP. Love that aggressiveness from Mask. You see a Janus portal, you should feel the same way you do when you see an on her jump.
Agni Dash.
It's the same thing. That's their mobility. Now they're in trouble. So to get on top of them, especially if they don't have ultimate.
You saw how quickly Mask jumped on it. It's a
Yeah.
siren for junglers.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it really just says that maybe Genetics doesn't think that Simplicity will be able to consistently invade on that blue. I don't agree with that necessarily. They've got a Naja support and a Rat jungle in comparison to a Susano jungle. For Armada, much, much worse in the early game. That's going to have to go back to base right now. He's already not really keeping up in the same level of farm as Faeles at this point in the game, and Faeles doesn't have to back for a while because he can finish the Acorn well out on the battlefield. So he's in a really good spot. Mask on Susano. I think Susano's probably the slowest ramping jungler right now.
Okay.
That's viable. Maybe Daji is a little bit slower, but I think Daji gets her a lot of her value from just hitting level 5. Susano really doesn't.
Some of those late game carries for sure, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, in the jungle for sure. I mean, even Kali, I think, is a little bit more impactful at level 6
Really?
than Susano. Yeah, I mean, you get a huge power buff from using Incense, and then Lash does a lot of damage. Nothing Susano does a lot of damage until he has items.
The pull is so cute, though.
It's good. The stun is just as good, basically, from Kali, and makes her do damage.
That's fair.
Susano doesn't do damage for a long time. But he's an insanely impactful character come the mid game.
Oh, yeah.
Once you get some items, Susano is really, really excellent. It's just that his early game is outright.
And he's absolutely a character that hard carry, right? This is a guy that will win you the game. Mask is a hard carry. He will win you the game. Give him the tools. I love this approach here from Armada. You know, just, yeah, Mask. Please do it. On the other side, Simplicity giving Faeles one of his better characters, and subsequently one of Mask's better characters, to be fair. And with the game that Faeles had last time, I think you absolutely ask him what he wants to play and say yes.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And he just kind of proved that he can make this work to you with their game 3 against Sanguine,
Yeah.
where they looked phenomenal. And it was because of this Naja and Rat pressure, particularly from Faeles, but also from Genetics and the rest of the boys on top of that. So I think it's a great idea and the right sort of path for Simplicity to take after a hard-fought game.
The solo lane Thor. Kind of flare. Definitely a SoloOrTroll pick for sure. And what always makes me laugh is how much SoloOrTroll reminds me of Baskin. Not saying same level of play, etc., but just oddball picks, kind of approach to the game. Tongue-in-cheek half the time, but still beating you up.
Trolling his brains out, yep.
But still beating you up.
Yep.
And that's the problem. This Thor solo pick, I think, has been a pocket strat for a number of solo laners, and just kind of meta hasn't really welcomed it or whatnot. Thor solo these days is impactful, it's scary. These hybrid solo laners have been more approachable and more viable, and that opens the door for Thor, and it can be nasty.
It really can. I mean, he dominated their games on day 1 with this selection. It was against opponents that are not as strong as Simplicity, without a doubt, but certainly showed that he has the mechanical prowess to make this selection work. And that's really where the disconnect can be, is that Thor is a mechanically intensive god. If you're not super comfortable on him, you will be able to tell. Solo is clearly very comfortable on him and knows the best skin, which is Andy Thor.
Oh, yeah?
The Thor recolor. That's his best one.
Right now, he's going to put it to the test. Makes it to the sky. Here comes Geno. Dashing, and right down comes the Thor. Genetics stunned out and killed. SoloOrTroll! On the solo lane, Thor picks up one, but gets bit back. As maniaKK answers, Meerkat picks up another. maniaKK in trouble. Faeles gets the flailing Geno. maniaKK with no more mana still able to left click, and that just might be enough. 2 for 1. Simplicity ties it 2-2.
Meerkat, great wind siphon there from Mask, keeps him out of the grave, but Faeles really willing to take a fight at Ratatoskr at 7 minutes in, as every Ratatoskr ever should be. The dream. That's exactly when you want to fight. It was a great ultimate from SoloOrTroll to give himself CC immunity off an attempted wombo combo by Simplicity. A good Janus ultimate from Deathpanter, but Mask set up alongside SoloOrTroll was just impressive throughout that whole engagement. Just tons of AoE damage, but problem was, as soon as all of that went away, Thor ultimate down, the Susano ultimate, there wasn't a whole lot left in the tank for Armada.
That's kind of the classic. I go seasons back and you think Thor jungle versus Ratatoskr jungle. Thor will gank left lane, dunk down, and look real good, and then Ratatoskr does the same thing and cleans up the Thor end one. That's what happened here for Simplicity. SoloOrTroll does it, he's getting ganked, but Thor comes down, does the stuff, and then Faeles shows up a minute late and $2 up and gets the end one. That's really nice for the Ratatoskr to be able to follow that up, and now has a little bit of a lead. 1-0-1 for Faeles, who has had the land of his lifetime in the past 2 days.
He's looked phenomenal, no doubt about that. And he's going for no anti-heal right away. Little surprised up against the Hell, but there is a lot of physical damage he has to be concerned with this Serqet, the AMC, Thor, and Susano. An early Void Shield will do him well here. I don't have a problem with it. Little scary for him to not get anti-heal, but at this point, I think it's fair to say, let's make Meerkat beat us.
Nice job, Solo. Pick up that blue buff. NotGeno from the jungle picks up Snoopy. That is a support NotGeno, so the damage is going to be more on the ground. StreakUp doesn't have it. Snoopy gets stunned out because he was looking the other way. StreakUp almost died off of Genetics' initiation. Snoopy just holding his ground.
Just no boots, so he doesn't try and turn and run. Instead, holds his ground and fights. Very, very smart by him right there. Loved that.
And I loved that too. SoloOrTroll securing his own blue buff after the blue buff invade. Give it away. Hot young talent, for sure. Shout outs to my Paladin fans out there. SoloOrTroll has been really impressive, honestly. Standard picks, oddball picks. He's got his own style. He's willing to play the meta for the team. He's willing to play his own thing if the team backs against the wall. Yeah, Solo, play a Thor and see what happens. It's fun to watch him.
Much better. I like him much better on the Thor in the competitive scene than the Ullr solo that he loves so much. Great ranked selection.
Yeah.
Not so much in competitive. And I like the way he's going. I imagine there's going to be a Genji's guard right here. No, actually Oni's. So he's going to want to get in there.
I
thought it was going to be Genji's to try and get him as many cooldowns as possible, let you hammer aggressively, teleport in, get hit, hammer out. But Oni's is the tankier option for sure.
Initiation, boys. This is him wanting to land in the middle of a 5-man scrum. Thor dunks in, stuns 4 people, spins. That's the dream. That's the game plan here for Armada's solo laner for sure. Tough laning phase too. maniaKK, no slouch. Jormungandr, one of the bigger bullies. And you're going to pick a Thor?
Yeah, but you're knock-up immune during Berserker's Barrage. I think that is a big part of why we see this matchup. maniaKK unable to knock you up, as well as the Ratatoskr. For that matter, can't really hit him with either boots.
Can get stunned. This could be trouble for SoloOrTroll. Teleports to the hammer, but it's 2 versus 1. He's able to walk on out of there, no problem. So still, 2-2. Snoopy versus StreakUp on the left side. There's the bees, it'll miss. StreakUp finds some basics, but that's it.
Deathpanter's ultimate coming through because Mask was on the rotation, spotted out on the ward. Able to help him out. That's a win for Snoopy, though. I mean, he traded Stinger in that spot for Airstrike, but
yeah.
Stinger just, he didn't pick it up, so it doesn't have an extremely low cooldown. But he's got 20% CDR between the Transcendence and the Mage's Blessing.
Also, the ultimate for the mid lane. SoloOrTroll gets slightly aggressive. Lands on maniaKK there, on his own side of the map, to be fair. On the other side of the map is an invade from Armada. Simplicity already heard Genetics miss the ult, and down he will go. The life and the red buff given to Armada here. And Armada, not content with losing game number 1, tie it up here in our 12th minute.
And right now, as soon as you get Crusher or Jotun's Wrath, basically, is when Susano starts to
Yeah.
starts feeling pretty good. And then he's going to get a Transcendence or a Hydra's Lament or a Jotun's Wrath after this, and you're going to go,
Ouch.
oh boy, is this fun. I mean, you really get on the horse at that point. He starts doing so much damage, and his cooldowns feel really low. We'll get some CDR in this next slot, most likely. It'll be difficult to battle up against at this point.
Absolutely. You know, Mask 0-3 so far, relatively low on the player damage. That's the net worth, my mistake. But in general, third from the top of the player damage. Might be the top a little bit later, so we'll see how that one kind of develops. But 0-3. I expect to see 3-0-3 pretty soon, like you said. This is kind of his moment to shine.
Also, just a phenomenal matchup against the Janus. I mean, that has always been the historical counter pick. Janus can go through far more walls than most characters can jump through. Susano tags you and teleports to you. So it's pretty easy for him to keep it rolling on the chase on this Janus a lot of the time. Pull him away from the wall. Good damage to the wall with a Typhoon. Burst damage, control. There's it's really Janus's only outright poor matchup, I would say. He's got unfavorable ones against characters like Poseidon that can easily cripple him, but even that isn't that bad. Susano is a real minus on the matchup chart.
Got to agree there. Gino's going to miss the taunt. SoloOrTroll again. And this has been Simplicity's game plan. Get on top of SoloOrTroll. Invade the blue buff. Took his tower earlier in the game. This has been a coordinated effort to keep SoloOrTroll down. Only a half a level down, though, and you got to tip your hat towards that. That's why we were talking so highly about the solo laner for Armada earlier on. His ability to mitigate this clear strategy to put him down has been a big part of what's allowed Armada to kind of stay relevant. I think most of the time you get the screws put on you like this, there's a concerted effort to try and change it. Mask hasn't come over there. It's just been like, all right, man, that's their game plan. Deal with it.
And I love it because it's letting Snoopy get ahead as he's looking for the fight, but Mask ended up ditching up Snoopy, trying to come back towards where his jungler was, but he was preoccupied with genetics.
Yeah, genetics did a great job kind of keeping him out of there. Meanwhile, Faeles is going to join the party. Deathpanter takes down Mask, and Faeles looking for Meerkat by himself. Here comes the Jormungandr. Faeles is going to be right here on top of SoloOrTroll. SOT hammers, one stun, one knockup, and the ring bounce will be good as well. 3-0-1 for the Portuguese powerhouse, and maniaKK lets him know how he feels. Taunts the hell out of the kid, and Goldgear going to go down to the Europeans as well.
Snoopy's aggressive pathing back into lane gets him in trouble. If he just comes down right away, maybe he doesn't get cut out quite as much, and he can turn and help everyone else who is getting under siege. But Genetics lands the ultimate that time. I believe that was on the Mask, and then a beautiful fadeaway by Deathpanter, who escapes trouble, beads, gets through the wall, and then lines it up and snipes down Mask.
You like that.
Love it.
That's the Janus play that's fun to watch. You know, it's funny. I get to commentate with a bunch of different people, but Ryan is really the truest ex-player, Tolly. It's been a while. Ryan still gets those moments where you watch good mid lane play, and you see aggro right here go, oh, my precious heart. You kind of melt at those moments, and it's adorable to see.
That was sweet, man.
It is a big win.
Nothing feels better than getting out of danger and being like, I'll show you.
That's why.
Hit me again, scrub.
Seeing maniaKK, you know, like, listen, maniaKK, you've been bullying SoloOrTroll this whole time. But at the same time, this Thor solo, you know, left up the little minion with your support. You're going to stunt on me with a funny pick. All right, bud. It's fun to see maniaKK kind of get in his face. But again, Snoopy up the creek without a paddle. Dino's going to be that paddle. And Snoopy's going to bring it home. Faeles up on the tree, misses the ultimate, and largely misses the opportunity.
Oh, no,
Snoopy
buddy.
with the bees. Oh, the dodge isn't good enough. And Meerkat follows up with the black bomb. Here comes Deathpanter as well. And SoloOrTroll puts him down. The surround. maniaKK doesn't seem to care. One versus the world. Meerkat in trouble. And maniaKK will use the ultimate.
Nice,
One knock-up, two knock-up, and that's got to be defensive.
maniaKK gonna get out of there. Genetics might not be as lucky. Mass actually misses the dash part of the Stormkata. I don't think it would have been enough to get the kill anyways. But that was just Snoopy, man, just saying, hey, we're fighting now. And everyone's like, but we're not, nope, we're fighting now.
You want to know what's funny there to me, Ryan? that is almost identical to when Snoopy got murdered. That aggressive pathing by himself. What was the difference there as Armada takes tier 2?
The genetics wasn't there to cut off the rotation from the rest of the boys, and Geno's in there to help him out right away, basically, is the big deal. Geno sets up StreakUp very nicely for that kill.
Mask with a nice dodge, has to use the beads for the stun, but maniaK's been lurking. Mask will get out of there. Snoopy kills down the maniaK, though. Big deal. We're gonna pick some SoloOrTroll on the back line. Snoopy surrounded, but here comes help. Snoopy is just turning and burning everyone. I can't write this man off. Aegis after the heal. Genetics gets blocked. Deathpanter can't find the shot either. Zigzag is good. Meerkat again. Snoopy alive.
Oh no!
Finally, Faeles puts him down.
Meerkat, you feel for him because he feels like he let him down. He really didn't. He did everything he could to keep Snoopy up there. That was absurd. Snoopy gets out of 2 different unstable vortexes there from Deathpanter.
Next level play.
Beautifully done. Meerkat doing all he can there to keep him up as well with some solid heals, but Snoopy definitely has, for as good as he looked during the online phase, had a dominant performance on Monday, looked great on the set earlier on the day, and looked good in game 1 of that set as well, but has had 2 kind of stinkers, to be honest with you.
Sure.
He's feeling it this game for sure.
Snoopy, one of the longest running competitive players in SMITE, shut us to COG Red back in the days. I mean, this guy's been around. At no point in time have I ever looked at this guy and said, yeah, that's a minor league player. Snoopy has taken steps away from the league before, playing here in the minor league. Listen, man, I don't know what it is. Snoopy just haven't had the right opportunity or whatnot. This guy's a pro league player. This guy is absolutely scary. Not many people could do what he just did there.
I mean, I don't think you can contest that he's at worst top 4 hunter of all time.
It's insane. SoloOrTroll getting on out of trouble.
Yeah, it's like Emilito, Terra, Snoopy, and maniaKK. I think are the only ones who have claims to like guaranteed top 5.
All right. How you feel about Zapman?
Zap's great.
Zapman went to Worlds.
He did.
Zapman did a one-handed push-up.
Zapman number 1.
No, that's weak. 9-9, 19 minutes in. Simplicity and Armada trying to find a love potion of their own. 1 away, finding themselves against Team Dignitas is Simplicity. And maniaKK, the Zone Patrol. A one-man squad. 1 versus 3, 4, doesn't matter. Keeping players away from what his team's interested in, which is the Fury. That's going to be a Primal Fury respawning here. And Armada know it, so they're getting aggressive, and maniaK's in trouble.
Geno gets portaled mask, but he gets blown up by that ultimate from Deathpanter.
Beautiful play out of the mid lane mage. Just lying in wait, waiting for it. You know what? After today, I'm going to say it. That was a nice Baronic-esque play. Bringing the hype guys back into it. A little bit of aggressive nature here. I don't think Geno's going to look for it yet. SoloOrTroll kind of surprising me with that jump. That Thor ult being down is not my favorite thing when engaging on a Primal Fury. But he will have the wall to zone players out. Faeles, however, has the semi-global. There's Armada, hearing it. And there's the fight after the fact. Faeles lands on the backside, which is going to be Snoopy. Level 19 is the amusing Cobb, and maniaKK falls down to the hand of the Canadian Hunter one more time. Snoopy, Evan Man Jones on a tear here, folks. 10 kills in total for Armada. 70% of them belong to Snoopy or have had his stamp of approval at the very least. The team gets the Primal Fury off of that as well. Tie game. Armada's got momentum.
Man, it's so tough right now for Simplicity, it feels like, because they have to try and answer this Hell and this AMC. And you can't really focus the AMC when the Hell is still up. But you can't really focus the Hell when Snoopy's going to be pounding you with abilities and autos while you're hitting on Meerkat. So it's a difficult position. It just got easier because Faeles finally picks up a Brawler's Beat Stick. a little bit late for that, especially when Janus, say it all the time, hate him with Divine Ruin. I feel like he doesn't apply it very well. It kills a lot of his burst damage. It just feels really bad, I think, when you have to pick it up on him.
I agree. Janus, he's got 1 damaging ability. Like, you're not going to spread the anti-heal very well. That said, Deathpanter has always just enjoyed the combination of the stats. Deathpanter has routinely bought Divine Ruin going all the way back to even before it was buffed, just for the power of the pen. Right now, magical penetration is at a premium, to be fair. Divine Ruin providing 15 of that, and no other place in the build.
Yeah, I mean, he'll probably get an Obsidian Shard next. It's the right idea. He'll be okay in the long run, I think.
Meerkat engaged on. Frenzy already popped in the early stages of the game! And Deathpanter from downtown one more time! Looking like a Curry brother out there, man. Never anywhere close, just launching it. SoloOrTroll gonna land in the middle of everybody. Shout out to Oni Hunter's Garb. But maniaKK zoning the rest of the team, so there's no follow-up.
Snoopy's finally here, but it's a little bit too little too late. Another beautiful ultimate from Deathpanter. You can't really say a Curry brother, because then he might be Seth Curry, and he wouldn't have hit that
That's
shot.
what I'm saying, man.
No, it has to only be Steph. Like, it can only be Steph.
I guess.
I'm saying Seth is never hitting that.
Yeah. Maybe he does.
Not with consistency.
Simplicity looking for that consistency. And Armada giving it to him. Tier 1 tower, relatively unceremoniously, if you will. Knocked on the door. Is anybody home? Nope. No problem. Neck and neck here, man. Real close. But it hasn't been this, like, back and forth. It's kind of just been both teams running parallel. You know, you're seeing tandem wins for both of these squads.
Yeah, it's really back and forth, but not in a seesaw kind of way.
Yeah.
It's one team does something pretty decent, the other team does something pretty decent. One team does something pretty decent, the other team does something pretty decent. The biggest lead of the game was simplicities, but it's been all evened up for a while at this point.
And that, you know, it's interesting to note. And largely, Mask, it doesn't show on the slash line, but I think it's been the Susano. The Susano impact has been really big, and as soon as he kind of got those items online, like you were mentioning, Aggro, we really saw a change in the way the game has to be played, because he's just not a threat. You don't have to play around that Susano. And here, even though he hasn't gotten the kills, you know, one pull, knock-up combination, you're done, man. And so Simplicity has to change the way that they approach objectives and change the angles that they take these team fights from to deter Mask.
Yeah, I think that was the case for a little bit, but now Mask has kind of struggled as of late. Deathpanter's been able to really punish him off these blink initiations, so we'll see how well he can do now.
There's Geno going in, and SoloOrTroll going to follow up as well. Genetics on the backside, trying to control Meerkat and doing none such thing. Mask dashes away. Pyromancer looks to belong to Simplicity. They're not so sure, so they leash it as well. Armada now take over control of the Fire Giant pit. Vision largely split. Blue side belongs to blue and red as well. So with that one,
Heads up.
their ultimate, that's gonna, just barely miss the objective. But Thor's up, and so is Faeles. Gonna land somewhere on the backside. Geno alive. maniaKK's ultimate already down. There's 3 separate team fights. Geno goes down to maniaKK, who's literally 1v4. The rest of his team is trying to deal with SoloOrTroll, who's also literally 1v4. It's the game of the solo laners here, folks. And by the way, Frenzy popped right now.
Faeles gets into the fight and immediately removes Mask. Snoopy trying to get the last hit, and does, but it costs him his own life as Deathpanter puts him down with the Unstable Vortex.
maniaKK alive, but just barely. SoloOrTroll trying to change that and won't. StreakUp with the kill. Takes down SOT. Frustration play there for sure.
A little bit. You want him to stay up there because his ult's going to be up soon. He can defend fire a lot better. See if Meerkat can be the hero.
This looks like a play we saw last time, but it was from SoloOrTroll. Nobody knew he was there, but Genetics knows Meerkat's here. It's a support Naja. The damage is on the ground, lying in wait. Up close and personal. Deathpanter secures it. Meerkat goes down. Simplicity will pick up the Fire Giant. 26 minutes in. Lead to Simplicity. 2,000 gold, just barely. So a very slight gold lead here. 3,000 to be particular. The Fire Giant is the first real momentum swing, and Meerkat just doesn't know what to do.
It's tough because Geno is able to get in and StreakUp's beads go down early. Geno finds his ultimate onto him, but StreakUp uses airstrike for CC immunity. He gets out of danger. there's just not a lot of long range good damage. I mean, SoloOrTroll has long range damage with the hammer, but he's almost all tank. Doesn't really do that much outright damage at this point in the game. Meerkat is doing his job, sitting in the back, healing up his squad, but that means that he can't really follow up off this damage from Geno. That's kind of what you need for the Serqet support to work in that manner. I'd like to see Geno kind of pull it back a little bit and just try and CC chain maniaKK. You know, get him killed before he can make an impact on this team fight.
Well, and this is also largely my problem with the way a lot of people play the Hells and the Aphrodites, which is why I really enjoyed Shinto. He was still dealing the damage. You need to play in the middle of the team fight. You mentioned staying in the back line, and that's all well and good if your team is ahead and you can supplement them. But when you're at parity or behind, you've got to be a mid laner. Right now, Armada are playing with 3 front line, like Meerkat's not a front line obviously, but 3 support utility characters, and Mask is looked to kind of solo carry, and it's not happening. So Snoopy's kind of looked at there. Meerkat needs to do some more damage. The Obsidian Shard is certainly going to help, but being bottom of the damage charts below both supports, I know they're assassins, that just can't happen at a high level of play. You're a mid laner, even as a healer, you've got to provide damage.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with you if we were talking in the mid game, but at this point, he can't do that anymore because there's too much damage on the other side. He'll get insta-killed.
That's fair.
It's too late for
I
him
mean,
to
you
get
still do have your magic missiles.
Sure, but Unstable Vortex does a lot more damage than that.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
We've already kind of reached the breaking point.
It's
of that game.
you know what it is? The heart of my 7K is a cycle of abilities, man.
It's low.
He's been kept out that much that that's
but
rough.
but I usually look at the healing in addition to that and see, you know, if he's doing a lot of healing, 20k healing.
All right.
If you take half of the healing and convert that to damage, he's doing just fine.
Okay. I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you. Again, though, I think I'd be happier if SoloOrTroll, one of those items is more aggressive, maybe. I see what you're saying. The impact there, right? Damage to healing. But you're healing a bunch of tanks that aren't killing anybody.
Right.
And so...
Yeah, maybe SoloOrTroll goes a little Void Shield here, last item. Likely to be Mantle, I would guess.
Yeah.
But maybe a Void Shield, maybe a Crusher.
Well, either way, I like where this conversation has gone because it's not, you know, when you look at a situation like this, it's not all on Meerkat. It's a team situation. SoloOrTroll, if Meerkat's going to be playing this style, should look to do a little bit more damage. The Thor pick in and of itself is that. The Serqet pick in and of itself is that. But, you know, be a little bit more oomph, because otherwise you find yourself down 10,000 behind the 8 ball. Simplicity has done fantastic here, taking advantage of the lack of damage. maniaKK has been able to zone 4 players at a time because there just isn't a threat most of the time. Here he is, zoning from the right side. Genetics portals in thanks to Deathpanter, who's able to pop the frenzy, and Geno gets exploded, and the rest of the team is going to town. Mask down for the count in the mid lane as Faeles wins the 1v1 there. Left side, maniaKK is chasing everybody. Geno makes it into the fountain. The left side Phoenix, history.
Man, Mask got 1v1 without even a blink from Faeles. No blink, no ultimate. He just walked at him and killed him. That's not great.
Not at all. Faeles has been on a different level, man. You know, he's watching that SK Gaming team, very unfortunate a couple years ago, last year. Won a single game. Ouch. And didn't put, you know, it's never one person's fault, but I was very critical of Faeles. And I said, hey, man, everybody always talked about Faeles dominating in different games that we never get to see. This is kind of exactly what I wanted to see. Go and kind of down to the D-League, if you will, right? Develop yourself and find some more relevant practice against people that you can kind of play against instead of just getting trounced. Faeles, last game, brought it home for simplicity. Last set, brought it home for simplicity. This has been the maturation of Faeles ZZ, and I'm here for it, man. I love watching this style of jungle domination. And Simplicity has been doing it as a team here in game number 2 for sure, but Faeles is leading the charge at 6-2-9 on the Ratatoskr.
No doubt, Faeles has been the better jungler so far in this set. That's been a huge difference maker between these two squads. Mask historically has been a very hot or cold player on LAN. He either really, really kills it and has huge carry games,
Sure.
or he kind of has games like this where he hasn't been able to make much of an impact at all.
Don't forget, this is for bragging rights, might even be higher than the seeding going into the mid-season invitational tomorrow. The top 6 teams in the SMITE Pro League. First place here. Should Simplicity win, he'll go head-to-head against Team Dignitas. And Armada, if they lose here, will go up against Team Rival. So both teams will make it out of today. That said, I think there is a 0% chance that anybody's taking it easy. I know these guys, and they're playing for the fences.
Faeles has to use the ultimate defensively that time. An aggressive blink for Mask. I love that. Knowing his bees are down, he can't really sit on his hands and wait around too much, so may as well try and get in there and play aggressively while you can.
Right side going to be the Phoenix focus. StreakUp in front. Dangerous positioning. Geno decided to blink. It could be problematic. Snoopy is here with a ton of damage. He hasn't been afraid to show it. The only positive player as far as slash run is concerned on Armada. 5, 3, and 3 for Snoopy. It's been fun to watch too. He's been flashy. He's been loud. He's been trying to keep Armada afloat here. Simplicity barreling down right side in mid lane. He's going to need the help.
I just feel like if Geno all-ins maniaK and Snoopy stingers him and Meerkat does the repulse damage, the Dark Stance 3, I don't think maniaK survives that.
maniaK is the hybrid build that I kind of want SoloOrTroll to have right now. He's definitely not as tanky as I think people expect him to be. Frenzy is popped on the outside. The ring bounce. Shred a ton of protections. Simplicity going to push forward. Mid lane Phoenix already dead. Left side, by the way, taken care of earlier. Snoopy low, knocked up. Aegis is good. And the cutoff to the Fountain is strong. 75% on the Titan already. Cut down to 60% or so. Faeles will be able to take care of Snoopy. The large carry for Armada. Faeles on the back line, but he's activating the ultimate as well. SoloOrTroll falling through the world. 3 kills unanswered for StreakUp on the Jing way. There's the dash from Genetics. Titan is left here. One more time. There's Geno on top of Deathpanter. Defensive kill this time around. The rest of Armada seeping out of the fountain, and Simplicity kicked off the front porch. Get out of here, says Armada, and Mask gonna bring him back on his own terms.
StreakUp down to Geno's damage. Mask will follow, and Geno's still in some trouble. Meerkat got to try and save him, but Faeles will follow along. That heal off the mark from Meerkat, and that ultimately cost Geno his life.
maniaK gets another kill. Meerkat dies. Snoopy's up in 10 seconds. It's just maniaK and Genetics, though. They have Fire Giant.
I don't know.
They've got a wave of fire minions here. This is for the first seed. Half HP on the Titan. Snoopy revives. 25%. The Hunter, can he do it? maniaK knocks him up. The answer, Genetics looking for it. See you later, Snoopy. And the rest of the team will say sayonara as the Titan falls. Simplicity take it. There. Be playing against Team Dignitas tomorrow.
Well deserved from this team. You could hear it in their voices. They were very confident. They felt like they were the best team in this play-in bracket, and they played like it here today. Faeles looked great. Deathpanter, after a rough early game on the Janus, comes back and has just great ult after great ult, puts himself in good positions time and time again. maniaK looks solid. StreakUp, another great game. He's looked consistently good. Genetics is really good. This team's good. I don't know. I just talked about everybody. They're all real good.
The team's really strong. Again, I maybe ad nauseum, but Faeles just continues to impress, man. So impressive. Got to shout out maniaK as well. maniaK's ability to zone the entire team is uncanny. I know that's what Jormungandr does. Still, extremely impressive for the XSPL player. Looking great.
Really, really impressive. Excited to see how they do against Dig tomorrow.
Should be fun. 2-0 in the direction of the Europeans. Back to you guys on the desk.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Aggro. Once again, EU takes down in a Simplicity are the one to take the top spot here in your play-in bracket. Their reward shall be Dignitas, who awaits them tomorrow. Armada, though, are not going home. We'll see them again tomorrow as well. Unfortunately, though, they will play them against Team Rival. A tall task, but maybe one they can find a way to rise to tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. But about this match that we just saw here, Taco, did you expect Simplicity to be able to 2-0 here against Armada? I suspect they were better, but not by a huge margin. situation.
The 2-0 I don't think was really as convincing of a 2-0 as what you might have been after if
Sure.
you're Simplicity's fan or side of things, but I definitely think that I might have been anticipating a full best-of-3 series, but Simplicity, they just had so much steam rolling off of that set win over Senguin. Definitely was not an easy feat either trying to topple Armada here. Keep in mind that first game went rather long, and game 2 kind of in the same boat.
That's right. It wasn't too far away from being around that same level, and I'm glad we had a maniaKK highlight here first, because I did want to say he was on this Jormungandr throughout the set and very clearly was comfortable on this pick, Taco. I mean, he was able to do a lot of work zoning, setting up for the team, and in the mid-game, damage. I mean, he was clearly taking 1v4s going into the fight. His sort of bruisery build, more towards damage even than bruiser, was really working for Simplicity here.
And maniaKK was just on Meerkat patrol. That's all he was looking for non-stop in the back line, and it was just impossible, it seemed, for Meerkat to have any real opportunities to try and look for that team sustain feature that a Hell could normally provide because of the constant aggression coming out of Faeles, coming out of maniaKK. They did an excellent job at keeping him displaced so that Armada was never really able to utilize their healer, and they were mostly trying to take those engagements split apart. And while it can fare decently well in the early to mid game with the Thor, Susano, eventually that does have a tendency to fall off when trying to actually topple Guardians.
Yeah, unfortunately for the rest of Armada, that set did not quite go their way, but I absolutely want to give some congratulations over to Simplicity. The boys have earned their victory today, and I hope that they're going to be able to celebrate. We'll get an idea, though, of where their mindset is. Simplicity is standing by now for the interview.
Standing here with Deathpanter and Genetics from Simplicity, first and foremost, congratulations. You have made it to the big show. The minor league, you guys are going to be playing against Team Dignitas tomorrow. It was either Dig or Rival. Are you happy that you've got Dignitas?
Yeah, I think so. Like, Dig and Rival both like super strong, right? And the chance of us winning is not that big with either of them. But Rival have looked really, really sick in the last couple of weeks, and Dig have fallen off a little bit. So yeah.
Game 1 was really back and forth. It looked like there were moments you guys in control, they got in control, you guys end up winning it. What was the turning point that you felt like you really had it under control finally?
Didn't we have it really hard under control in the early game? I thought we were like
we were like
8k ahead, and then I think we got picked 3 times in a row, and it kind of ruined our momentum. And maniaKK actually got quite annoyed as well, so we were like had to snap back on. I can't remember the first game, honestly, to be honest with you, but I think we would kind of just like try to reset our mentality, because when you're that far ahead in a game and then you throw the lead and they're actually winning fights, it feels really hard to claw back the pressure that you had before. So it's just getting on the mentality, I think.
Genetics, you've been playing in the minor league for a while, not really kind of up in the pro league, but watching you has been pretty impressive. And you seem to be the kind of the voice for this team. Is that true?
Yeah.
What would you say your approach is? Because you seem very kind of top down, dictating what the team does, but it's successful. Is that true? Or talk to us about how you work with the squad.
Yeah, I mean, me and Panda have teamed together for over a year now. And when we started teaming, I noticed that Panda was really good on Hunters, and he's good on Mages, of course, but I wanted to team with StreakUp as well. So when we formed the roster, I kind of knew I was going to be kind of central to it. So I'm usually the one organising what we'll play in scrims and what we'll focus on. And me and Streak and Panty mainly do the drafts together as well. So it is a team effort as well, but I do try and push it in the direction I want to go, mostly.
So it's your fault that Deathpanter's always playing Hunters instead of the Janus. My man carries on the Janus. Put him on it. Am I right, Deathpanter? Can I? Yes?
Yeah, I think I played all right. The thing is, I really like Hunters as well, and it fits our team, because Streak really likes playing Mages and ADC, whether it's Chronos or Merlin or whatever, and I like Hunters, so it just fits our team really well.
So I know you guys said that Dignitas is going to be a super tough opponent, but Deathpanter, in your pregame interview, you were saying that you think that they've looked a little bit more mortal as of late. Is there anything in particular that you guys have identified that you think that you might be able to take advantage of?
Not really. It's like they play mostly for the late game Fire Giants, I think. Our early game is good, but we also focus on the late game Fire Giants, so I'm not sure what we're going to focus on yet. It's what prep tonight.
When Aggro asked that, you kind of laughed a little bit, Genetics. Not so sure?
Yeah, I mean, I know we haven't really researched. We weren't even ready for the Armada set because we were too busy focusing on Sanguine, and then the hype unit set early as well. We thought hype were going to take it after the
first 2 games.
Yeah. So we weren't really prepared for anything, and we're still not prepared anyway. So.
Well, blindly walk into success. Congratulations, Simplicity. We'll see you tomorrow. Back to you guys on the desk.
Hey, Simplicity just focusing on the opponent that's ahead of them. I love to hear it from those guys. And now the opponent ahead of them is a very difficult Dignitas team, so hopefully they'll be able to beat them. Let's go take a look back through their journey to make it to this point. Simplicity took down Nemesis, Sanguine, and Armada, but we'll still see both of those teams tomorrow as we move from our play-in bracket all the way into the actual MSI bracket where all the SPL teams join in. Rival and Armada will be the first set of the day.
Can't wait to see who comes out of that one, but more importantly, looking at every single matchup that we've got in store for later on this week, MSI is just a beast of a competition, man.
It absolutely is. It's so hard to call ahead of time. I mean, Splice are going to be coming in. How well are they going to be prepared? Renegades have looked up and down. You don't know where they are. They're a bit of a question mark. I mean, so many good teams here.
I almost think that Simplicity might actually have the best plan possible, and that's just to try and take the sets as they're presented to you.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, these are best of threes. A lot of the pros are a little bit more accustomed to those best of fives lately, and just about anything can happen in a best of three. You can really steal the momentum of a set if you get off to a strong start in game one.
Well, that's some cool stuff that's going to be happening for you all tomorrow, but you can have some fun right here, right now, with those Battle for Olympus skins. Make sure you get the Clockwork, Chaos Escortian, Mothman, a Muzen comp right now if you all want to check out some very cool skins, but that's not the only one. We do also have the Battle for Olympus Chapter 2 reward skin that's out there. That's right. Complete Chapter 2, and that way you can get the Seraph Horus skin as well. So go home and have a little bit of fun with some new skins in the game as well.
You don't want to miss out on... Come on, your friends are going to make fun of you. Let's just be honest.
If I load into a game and you're base at Muzen Cobb skin, you're using basic Muzen Cobb,
I'm not even
I
popping
won't
the
give you
skin
any
booster.
respect. Zero respect at all. And I'm going to run you down all game. Show me some actual stuff. But again, if you all want to look forward to some fun towards the end of the year and maybe challenge me on that one to my face, come to High Res Expo. Go to highresexpo.com, pick up those tickets, and that way you can hang out with us, see some really cool matches. We're all looking forward to it here.
And maybe make some friends along the way. You never know what
Maybe.
adventures you might get into in downtown Atlanta, man.
That's a great point, man. Watch some great games, then have some fun at the after party where everybody loosens up a little bit. Absolutely want to make sure that you are there for that. But don't worry, that is just the play-in bracket. The MSI is going to continue Wednesday and Thursday and the All-Star Invitational on Friday. So make sure you're right back here at 11 a.m. tomorrow. And that's going to do it for us today. Y'all have a good rest of your night.